Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of the shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to, let's just get rid of this screen. There we go, that looks much better. Shout out of thanks and appreciation to Christophe Fournier, John Travolta, JMels24, Aaron Bowden, Unamento, M, Iron26, Endless, Flat Earth Sage, Goldie McKinnon, Phoenix Rising 86, Retro Bill, More Books, Cannabear, Fibre Oats, Bogey, Michael Kahn, Rob H, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Will Brax, Mel B Styles, Troy Shuka, Hairy Blade, Mobile Mac 777, Neo the One, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Maria Nealand, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, The Real Gabster, Abraham Mohammed, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Gilded and G+, so you can enjoy their dulcet tones, while I set up for today's live show.
I remember that Superman movie though. There's like a Superman where they're in his computer lab and this woman like gets all like cybernated. That's the one you were
Yeah, I
talking
know what
about.
you mean. That's like the Superman, yeah, Superman 3, and she gets like covered in goo and then turns into a robot. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like, in Superman, there's various different scenes where I don't know what they're doing, if it's the government or something like that. But they've got a load of old 70s mainframes and they've got reels on the top of them. And these things are massive. They take up like a whole room. You'd know what I mean if I showed you.
All right, I'll take your word.
Can I get a bloody mic check?
Hello.
I know. Late.
I think it's just that I'm not late. Normally I'd be going, oh, so the RAM isn't as stable as I thought. Or, oh, that piece of software looks unstable. Not much I can do about it now. Better get on with the show. Oh no, it's crashed.
It's interesting that you like to have your PC that quiet. Like I haven't really noticed because I always wear a headset, right? And it kind of does a good job at suppressing noises around me. But
Yeah.
I guess I would want a really quiet computer if I didn't have a headset.
You're kind of breaking up a bit, but yeah, I heard what you said. I would sacrifice everything else above silence. So, if it's quiet, I'm happy. If it makes the slightest noise, then it's garbage. Basically, that's my opinion. It just needs to be quiet. That's all it needs. It needs to be out. If there was no black box at all, that'd be ideal. Absolutely ideal. Then you didn't have to worry about whether or not it made noise or not. It didn't exist. So if it just has to be a black box taking up space, taking up space, but that's fine so long as it makes no noise. You know, the least you can do is make no noise in that corner.
What about when you game something really intense?
When you what?
If you put a game on and
That's what I'm talking about.
you know when you put a game on.
In all circumstances. I'm not just talking. I love how that mentality of PCs. When you watch the YouTube videos, right? People will say it's a silent fan. Oh, that's just what I'm looking for. Until you put a load on it, you're like, you don't seem to understand what the word silent means, right? Because silence has a very specific definition. It's not, well, it's silent unless you're 2 foot away from it. It's like, that's not silent then, is it? Let me just define what silent means. Making no noise at all, ever. Not, well, no noise until you're doing something with it that you might want to do with it. It's like, no, that's absolutely useless. I want it to be silent. That's it. End of, no disclaimers around it. And it is right now. And it will be. until I finish tuning it, or it keeps crashing because of undervolting. That's the real problem here. Oh, I'm trying to squeeze more performance out of it, knowing damn well I just tune it for efficiency and leave it alone. But it's like, but tuning for efficiency means you lose a bit of a performance. You get a loss. So you go, I want to get that back somehow. So I can't help fiddling. This is nothing wrong with the equipment. I could just set PL1 and PL2 limits. I could just do that, set them to stock, like Intel's specification suggests, so that it'll work in a HP pre-built or something. Just set the limits to 250 and 120, and that'd be it. 2 settings. Never have to do another thing. But then it only boosts for 56 seconds to the frequencies that it can do indefinitely. It's like, well, if it can do them indefinitely, I want it to do that. That's what it's designed to do, so I want it to do it. Anyway. But do it in total silence.
Well, how about, I got this question, like, you overclock and stuff like that too, right?
Fortunately, yeah, because otherwise I wouldn't have known how to undervolt, because the principles are the same.
Right, so if you overclock, doesn't that doesn't that degrade it faster or something like that? Or
I haven't
what's the word
overclocked
I'm
everything.
looking
I've underclocked everything and undervolted everything. So yes, does overclocking things, making them run faster, make harder life on the component? Yeah, absolutely. It's like running an engine at higher revs. It's exactly the same. More stress, often for very limited gains.
Oh, so you underclock it, so it's more quiet. Okay, I gotcha.
And not that I wanted to. It's just, ideally you'd get it and go, wow, that's completely silent, but it has got fans in it. I wonder if I can keep the fans silent so that I can actually overclock it. But, the dream of the fans providing some sort of headroom. No. That's a joke. Plus the chips themselves don't anymore. So the 12th gen has just been replaced. The one chip that's in this, the i9 12900K. The K SKU is useful because I want to tune it, but just not tune it up. And if you did want to tune it up, you number one, you'd have to be very skilled and really know the platform inside out and back to front, meaning you'd have to spend a long time learning it. And what you would get has a certain amount of scaling benefit. So in other words, if you get this chip, which is 5.2 out of the box, up to 5.3, maybe 5. About 5.3. I'm not talking about one core, I'm talking about all 8. Then it would be, you'd notice it would give you a performance gain. But you'd have to put so much voltage in to get that. Then, yeah, your principle of wouldn't that degrade it? Yeah, hell yeah, especially on the new modern KSQ chips. They're automatically at near their limit out of the box from Intel. You can tweak it a little bit, but if you did, you've got to have some substantial cooling, probably water cooling, probably custom, and huge amounts of water in it. So that's what you've got to do to overclock the thing, which is fine if you're looking for the nth degree of performance, top 1%. But for most people, that ain't what they do. But it's good that most of the chips come out of the box now as at their potential, almost at their near potential limit. That's good, I think. People shouldn't have to go and tune it up. Makes no sense to me.
I had a turkey and monster cheese on a hero yesterday for dinner.
No, not talking about food. This is the pre-show. I'll talk about whatever I like. But, right, the show quality has gone down, meaning my control of the show has gone. There's various points in the last few shows where you're like, is Nathan even here? Yeah, he's here. Of course he's here. I'm always here. But I'm not, if you know what I mean. Well, that's going to have an effect on the show. It's my show. So hopefully, I say this every morning, I have done for the last week, the PC's now completely stable, and I'll never have to think about the hardware ever again. It's just about the show, which is really all this is about.
You should knock on wood when you say that, because every time you say that, you end up doing something else.
Can I order a turkey sandwich? Is it time?
You can.
I only break your chops, Nathan.
Pardon?
I'm only breaking your chops, eh?
You order turkey, not chops.
I just want to know how it ticks. I now know how it ticks. I'm happy. But obviously, having tweaked it, there's a chance that it could be unstable because I'm not that familiar with where the limits lie. Now, the limits, I'm good enough to know that, how to get it stable. And I do. But I said this on the last computer. You know, the last computer wasn't quite good enough. This one definitely is. But it doesn't mean to say that running the show isn't incredibly demanding on a PC. It is. Various things that I was doing, I only learned recently. You really shouldn't be doing that on the type of PC I had. And I was like, my God, that chip I bought was fantastic. I overclocked the living snot out of it, and it was fantastic the whole time until it wasn't. You know, like most things. But the show's it's a demanding show. You know, having lots of different things all connected together, all different servers, it's demanding. And the PC, you know, can, if you get it wrong, go unstable after a few hours of doing it. You know, so it's fine. The PC can do it. Do it for an hour. Do it for 2 hours. Suddenly you get 2 hours and 20 minutes into the show, and something just snaps. Yesterday and the day before, one of the PC screens went completely black. And by went completely black, I mean you could still put your mouse on it, and you could still see a little NVIDIA overlay that gives me GPU and CPU usage along with latency and various other frame rates and things. This little overlay would appear, and the mouse you could put over it, and if you press the little button that shows you all like an exploded view of everything you've got on your desktop, everything that was on that screen would appear in that view. But then the moment you went back into the screen, it would go black, and you'd just be left with the NVIDIA overlay and your mouse. And no control of OBS. So like the last 10 minutes of both yesterday and the day before show, what I'm actually doing is monitoring the show because I've thought of this in advance. I've got a second monitor on the second screen. So even if one of the screens fails, to a certain extent, there's a fail safe on both screens. And that's what I did. I monitored the last 10 minutes of the show saying nothing on the preview screen that shows me that the live stream's going out to the audience okay. So when you hear people start a show and they go, am I going out live? Let's go and have a look. Well, I don't want to do that. I want to have a quick glance while I'm on camera that you hopefully don't notice. Or it's not actually even a glance. I can see it out of my peripheral vision if the live stream's started. And there's a point in it, I shouldn't really reveal my little secret, but when I point down, you know, when I go below this video, the reason I do that is because obviously I can't hear myself, but I can see out the corner of my eye the flash of my arm go up and point down. And that tells me the stream's running, it's functional. And it's about, 15, 20 seconds into the intro. About the time that, as I'm talking, I can see, right, 20 seconds ago it saw me point down, therefore it's functioning. And I don't have to look across, because I'm obviously looking at the camera to tell you to subscribe and like and all that kind of crap. But that preview screen, that's its purpose, that's what it's there for, was the only way to monitor the show for the last 2 days at the end of the show, sort of 2 hours in. Because a little bit of instability, I just loaded a game, and loading it caused the screen to go. I'm like, oh dear, I'm live. I'm like, sugar. What am I going to do? Oh yeah, I've got that screen. Am I still working? Can they still see everything? And I lost track of it at one point, and there's crap on the screen that shouldn't have been there. But it doesn't matter, right? So long as it's going out, I can deal with the fact that it looks a little bit of a mess on screen. But having that sort of backup and flexibility means there's a ton of stuff all running at once. And it is demanding. It's demanding on a PC. I'm glad I've got a good one. Once it's dialed in, it'll seem like, it's a breeze. Running 3 different pieces of software all connected back and forth and having a game on screen and monitoring it all with 2 different monitors of YouTube and desks and all the rest of the shortcut buttons and the piece of software that plays this on-screen display of the compass or whatever it is, protractor. You know, all of that has to be running, and I want to be able to see everything on not have to go into the tabs and bring it up. I want it all there, laid out, seeing if it's functioning at all times, which is a lot of screen.
How many screens do you have? How many screens do you have? Nathan?
2 4K screens at native resolutions, so that's why I'm sometimes struggling to read things, because it's excuse me, it's tiny. On my 4K screen, the text that goes by for the chat. In fact, I bought an arm to move literally to bring it's the Crichton zoom. If you're a Red Dwarf fan, he gets turned into a human, this robot, and he's like asking the other fellow human, "Well, where's the zoom function on your eyeballs?" And Lister has to say, yeah, what you do is you get the thing that you want to zoom in on, right? And you bring it closer to your eyes, right? So with that mentality in mind, I had to buy an arm off eBay from some office clearance that articulates the entire monitor. So I just literally grab the thing and physically bring it 2 foot closer, and then I can read the super chat. But because I need this real estate, I need every pixel, so I can put all of this crap everywhere, all over the screens. But that means that it's a bit too small to read, unfortunately. But there we go. That's very much a first world problem. But two
When you
4K
got
monitors.
the arm, did you get it on the arm? Or did
Pardon?
you pay for it cash?
The arm, I bought it on eBay. It was about 50 quid.
Oh, because sometimes back in the day, you'd say, I got it on the arm.
No, articulated
So
arm for the monitor. Articulated
So
being...
riveting.
Sorry, go on.
So riveting. I said, so riveting. I'm glad I woke up early.
Yeah, man. This is what people tune in for.
I do my screen. I just put my screens in the chat. You can have a look at it. See if it gets something similar to this.
Not exactly. Yours are monitors. One of mine's a projector, so it's enormous, which means I can actually utilize all of the different real estate. So yes, it's like that because it's two screens, but no, it's not like that because one of mine's 8 foot across and the other one is vertical.
Wow. You might have to get rid of the projector and just stick with a monitor. More consistency.
Then where would I put it? I've got nowhere to put it. The reason I use a projector is because it rolls down in front of the curtains, and then the projector itself is on the roof or on the ceiling, out of the way so kids can't touch it. So when it's not in use, which is 90% of the time, it rolls up, and then there's a window behind it. So it's not even there. So there is no screen that can do that other than a projector.
Who's that talking?
It was WoW, I assume.
It sounded like Spurs for a minute.
No, it was me.
No, doesn't sound anything like Spurs. Is it just because he's English? Suddenly we all sound the same, huh? Racist.
Let's get back
We're
to
from the
monitors.
same
I
area.
want to learn more.
Don't condone him.
Oh,
Don't
God.
justify his comment. From the same area.
Yeah, monitors. Monitors are a little bit better, more consistency. You can get bigger ones than this and just be more consistent for the show rather than a projector. I've got a projector, but it's more problematic than it is a monitor. It's just consistent. It doesn't
Is that
break.
so?
Keeps going.
Just
And
so you know,
I can add
the
4
screen that
wires to
died
this screen.
and went black was not the projector. Very much not so. It was the other 4K screen that went black. That was, in fact, it's always that screen. When it was a normal monitor, this monitor, the monitor previous, and the monitor before that, all of them were the primary monitor, normal monitor, nothing flash, basic monitor. The projector never gives me an issue, ever, apart from when it blows up. Apart from needing completely replacing every couple of years. Other than that, it's brilliant. And when I say it's, I mean all 10 of them that I've had.
Save us one deck. Save
Which
us.
one do you have? Which one do you have?
At the moment, I've got an
What
Optoma.
projector?
It's my 4th Optoma. I've had a Davis, a Sony.
Yeah, what I got as well. That's what I got. They're the best. Yeah, that's what I got.
They seem to be. They're all crap because they are plastic and get to ludicrously hot temperatures. So without exception, the moment you put a screwdriver in one of them and take them apart to put a new bulb in, they will go back together and creak. And then the second time you take it apart to put a second bulb in, there's a good chance it won't work when you put the screws back in with the new bulb. That is what has happened with, and I'm not joking, every projector I've ever owned.
Well, I don't plan on taking it apart. I'll leave that to
Don't.
professionals.
Don't get to 6,000-ish hours on the bulb if it's a good one, and then sell it working.
Well,
Costs
I'm glad the
$20,000.
month
I
of
don't- It's
October is always
one of the top of the
over.
ranges. Top of the ranges. It's a short throw, so you just stick it on, and it just projects against the wall. You can just leave it anywhere. But it's I think I've done how many hours? I think I've done like 500 hours so far, so it's in good nick.
That's new. 500 hours is nothing. I said 6,000. I meant 2,000, didn't I? 6,000 is how long your average crap telly will last. So that's the number I go by. You might get 10,000 hours out of them. And projectors, it's a couple of thousand. So 2,000 hours. So it's about a quarter of the way through its life.
This one I've got is top of the range, so I'm hoping it will last for a long time until I have to replace the bulb.
No,
but when
it
that
will
happens,
not.
I'll just
No, it won't. None of them will. If you spent, and I've sold them. I used to sell projectors. That was what I did when I got my first real job. I mean, I had lots of jobs up until then, but selling projectors and doing really posh custom installations of people that were buying projectors that were really low resolution, but they would spend 10 grand on a line doubler. Yeah? Something that you now get thrown in on most tellies. Probably people don't even realise they've got one. Most tellies have got a line doubler, so you can put in a standard def picture and get it to give you the picture on the size of the screen you've got. You need to be able to double the lines to do that. Well, back in the day, there wasn't any of that. Now, then you were selling sim projectors, and they were 10 grand for what I now got for a couple of grand. That's how much they were back in the late 90s, early 2000s. That same exact piece of crap plastic was 10 to 20 grand. And then a good one, I mean, a nice one, was 50 grand to 100 grand for a decent projector. Now, I'm not talking about some of them. Across the range, regardless of price, meaning that you could spend up to 100 grand and it would still have the exact same problem. It wouldn't matter. Didn't matter what price. So the rule of cheapest one rules is definitely the case with the projector. Find the resolution you want, buy the cheapest one possible, knowing unless you sell it at the right time, it will be thrown in the bin. All of them. Because they're just a 1,000 watt, whatever it is, bulb in a plastic shell. That's what they all were, even the really expensive ones.
It's pure projection. That's what I get out of this.
They're all crap. They all last about, I think total, you
That's
can get
20.
that's the number I was going for. Sorry, 8,000 hours is the most you will get out of them with bulb changes. About the life of a television with nothing done to it. But with bulb changes and going, please God, please don't let the colour wheel break when I take the case off.
This is 20 minutes of my life I'll never get back.
There are people who take great joy from these conversations. There's at least one of them. It's me.
Me.
Yeah, it's me.
It's me as well.
You're killing me. You're killing me. You have the biggest lie in the
Guys.
world, and we're talking about projection.
You might be able to help me, Tim. I don't know. I've been trying to find the imaginary tangent line mirror on the sextant. Have you got any ideas where that is, please, mate?
Yeah, it's center of the earth in their book, imaginary as well.
You what?
Well,
There's
they keep saying they're
there's
using
no
this
tangent mirror.
They
There's
keep-
a horizon mirror. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
Come on,
Horizon
Nathan,
mirror.
get with it. You didn't get the sextant with the tangent mirror? You got ripped off.
They don't have a tangent mirror.
No, but they need the
Tangent line
tangent.
Is it just me, or is Discord? Are you still in there, Righteous? Can you give us a couple of sentences? 'Cause it
Gilding,
like Discord.
was it
Yeah.
not Discord?
Are you getting?
not
Are
10.
you getting like crackling sounds?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
am as
same
well.
on our end.
Should I jump out and jump back in again? Would that help?
It's
I'm gonna. I didn't even wait for his answer. I'm so rude. I do that to people in person. I walk off halfway through them talking to me if I'm bored. My wife pointed it out. You realise that person was in the middle of talking to you? Oh, were they? I'd switched off completely.
Must have went off on a tangent.
Hello.
from Nathan, right?
How's that? Can you sing us a little song, maybe?
All right,
Oh,
mic
it was
check, mic
you
check.
that causing that horrible racket, was it?
Yeah, it still seems to be breaking up.
Might be the PC.
But it's fine on the.
It's fine on
It's fine on the meet, right? For everybody in the meet.
Yeah, it sounds like it's clipping. Sounds bad, my end.
Ethereum, mate.
I need you to talk a little bit more in Discord. I know this is out of character for you guys.
Well, I'm still looking for the tangent line mirror, mate, and I can't find it anywhere.
Yeah, it's still.
I mean, they keep saying
still
the
It's
tangent
flat.
line.
The Earth is flat. It's flat, flat, flat.
The globe is flat. It was measured like that. The globe is
Oh,
flat,
right,
and the
time for the
Greeks all
poll.
knew that.
Okay, that's good. It's rough as hell. I'll have a look at the settings, see if there's something I can do about it, but I doubt it.
Well, there's only one deck to measure from, one deck.
Yes. Yes, Tim, that's right. The deck of the boat. Using the horizon and the horizon mirror. We don't use the tangent line mirror because it's an imaginary tangent line. It doesn't exist. It's like Santa Claus. It's imaginary.
You'd think if it was like Santa Claus, they'd have the presence of mind.
Good one, Tank. That's a good one.
Well, that's a
Yeah,
wrap.
you think they'd have it all
Well,
wrapped
you know
up
what
by
happens to a lot of kids? It may rain on them, dear.
See, that's a lot more entertaining than CPU chips.
Sorry, guys in G Plus. I'm really sorry. I'll just try that one more. I've got a problem with the audio from Gilded. I'm hoping they will talk so I can solve that
Oh,
problem.
sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Oh.
so the globe is flat. It was measured like that. The globe is flat. The Greeks all knew that. They measured angles using sticks and shadows. The Earth must be flat for horizontal shadows.
Testing. Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we
Can you
can
talk a
hear
bit more?
Alberini knew
Whoever
the
that was. Hello.
globe
What's your
was
name?
flat.
What's your name?
It's Dank. What's up?
Dank. Can you tell us how your day's been?
I just woke up. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well. It's getting ready to rain, and
And desperately trying to fix this audio problem and just
making
need you to
eggs.
talk.
I'm making
Morning, guys.
eggs for breakfast. Does anybody want eggs?
I'm thinking of making eggs.
Dank, do you know where the imaginary tangent line mirror is on the sextant by any chance? We're trying to find it.
No. No, I've never used a sextant.
Huh. All the ballers have. Every one of them's got one tucked away.
Yeah,
They've
you'd
got
think they
ding-ding
invented it.
Oh yeah, they're all experts now. They all go out every weekend navigating the seas. When they're not in the plane, actually, flying through the air, they're on the boat.
Okay, I think that's one deck's
I
line,
mean,
isn't it? Because there's nothing wrong with Dank's line. So I think one deck's just confusing me. But there's also the output volume from Gilded is just a lot higher, and I think it was actually clipping. So Righteous, you tend to be the happy medium. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm right here.
No, you sound
Does
terrible.
that sound better?
Oh, I start to loathe Gilded. This kind of shit I can do without. Can't do anything about it. I can turn it down to its almost minimum. That's it. Everything else is
I mean,
controls. Go on.
I'm just saying, to tell you the truth, I mean, you can hear something, Nathan, but you can still communicate. I know what you mean. It's very...
Nah.
Yeah,
can
first
still-
I hear it well. I don't hear any crackling or popping out of anybody.
I don't hear any
It's only
popping or
Nathan's
crackling
line.
from you. Maybe it's just bloody One Deck and Righteous.
Well, I can come
I'm
and
gonna
hang
log
out.
out and log in.
Both of you, can you both drop and rejoin? Got 2 minutes before the live show starts. This is what this is for, really. Not for me talking about PCs. It's to do this. This is what I should do in the pre-show. It's like, there might be an interesting conversation if you remember and you know, you're privy to these conversations. But really, it's just a sound check. And it's to avoid having the first 10 minutes of a live show be like this. That's really what this is. The main purpose. This is a technical exercise. Get everyone leveled up, get them warmed up, talk about something.
Leveled up, I hear you say.
Yeah, you're just the same.
Good morning.
Hey, Chocolate. Hey, Eli as well. Did anyone else join from G+? I mean, we're going to have to roll with it. I don't know what to do.
Mic check.
Oh, that's better. What
Things
did you
different
do?
or the same?
What did you do?
I changed I changed it to your region.
Oh, it's still shit.
And I also lowered the quad audio quality, see if that did something.
It could be. It could be that you're trying to, you know, the quality isn't good enough for you and your internet connection, but I wouldn't have thought that was the case. You're typically quite good. We go back to
Oh.
to what's it called? Discord.
Well, I was thinking about talking to you about that, but I'll talk to you about it in private.
Gotta be honest, it's
Maybe
annoying
after
me
the show.
hearing you talk. Not because it's you, but because you're distorted. And it's annoying.
Am I still distorted?
Yeah, at the end of your sentence,
Yep.
you start breaking up.
Bloody hell.
Right, let's hear you in here, Righteous. I doubt it's your connection. I bet this will be perfect.
All right, mic check, mic check. Am I coming better?
Oh, you sound beautiful. Like you
Nice.
should. Gilded's garbage. Shouldn't be an issue. You know what I mean? I can try and
Right.
leave and rejoin again. Got 1 minute before the live show starts.
And Gilded?
Yeah, do you want me to? I'll disconnect, refresh it, and then go back in. But for what? You know what I mean? It's just going to be the same, isn't it? And there's little to nothing I can do about it. What can I do?
Are you using the PC client?
Am I using what? I've just gone in via. I've gone in via whatever the little whirly world from Google is. But yeah, this is not
I
good.
heard that was the problem. You're supposed to use Firefox.
I've been told Firefox isn't the right thing to use.
No.
Hello.
Unfortunately not.
Hey, Arwin.
Google Chrome. Google Chrome.
That's what I'm using.
I'm using Firefox. Works fine.
Arwin, you've just got here. Shut up.
Don't you use the app?
The app? I didn't know there was an app. I could try the app. It never worked for
There's
me
a
with
Gilded app.
Discord, but I can try it.
Yeah, I use the app.
Okay.
Oh yeah, on the PC.
And it's 9 o'clock. It's 9:01.
Yeah. What should I do? Well, I don't know. I need a public gateway that I can actually have a conversation with somebody. If somebody joins and I can't talk to them, then that's the major part of the show. It even doesn't matter if they don't join, as long as they can. But if they can and they do, and then they sound like shit, that's devastating. That's terrible. I need to do something. I can delay the show by 15 minutes. I'm already 2 minutes late. So you're saying download the app?
Yeah, there's a Gilded app.
And
I'm just
presumably-
using a program on my
Right, second time. So there's a Gilded app. What do I do? Just go to www.gilded, or do I go to an app store? How do I get the app? Or have you got a link that I can hopefully get the app from?
Let me see. Yeah, I got a link. I'll post it in G+ or wherever.
Ask Debaters.
I think. Yeah, I think that's the link. It says Gilded downloads, right?
Let's have a little look.
Right.
Thank you very much. Right, let's just change this screen in case it ends up putting all sorts of things I don't want people to see. 1 second. There we go. Yes, it did. Download Gilded for Windows. Is that not what I've got already? Maybe.
Well, you said you're listening through the browser, right?
I think so.
If you use the app, it's an app. It's not through the browser anymore.
Okay, we'll give this a try.
It's like Skype.
Sure. No, yeah, I'm up for trying it. It's just loaded me straight in. Okay, let's just kick myself out of this other stream. Second.
And even with Discord, oh. Yeah, even with Discord, Discord had an app too, and I found the app more stable with Discord also.
Yeah, I didn't with Discord. It was horrendous. I'm probably gonna have all kinds of sound issues now. Although it definitely looks better. It's gonna take me a minute or two. Okay. Sorry to be rude to you, Arwen, just running over late now to sort out a technical issue.
All right, I'm just sharing with you how it works with me. Seems
Yes,
to be
that's
working
not useful
fine.
though when I was trying to figure it out with Righteous, but there we go. Hopefully you'll chit chat anyway now. I need you to fill in. I'm really regretting being rude to you.
Are we allowed to talk in G Plus now?
Yes, that was why I was apologising in a kind of way to Arwen. Because yeah,
Oh,
now
so
I'm
you
really
only
not need to
offended
talk while I
Arwen?
do things because I'm a man
You
and I
didn't
can
offend
only
me
do one.
intent? Oh, okay. 10th man, you got some slides?
Oh, like I'm not here, Neil? We're gonna people not offended? I'm not here now, huh?
Listen, you live in Tennessee. I'm still upset with you.
You're welcome.
Hey, I found a new phenomenon, guys. Gravitational flares. It explains how it's like a little spike of gravity that sticks out like a solar flare and might happen unexpected. And that's how people in the ISS suddenly drop a pen, or how a cup of water can just sit on a table while somebody right next to it is floating. It's because it's caught in a gravitational flare that's like sticking out like a needle, grabbing the object in that specific position.
Ooh, nice story.
Oh, yep. And I figured out how to manipulate space time. So
Check.
yeah, it's
I'm
it's
actually-
getting there.
Let's see if this even works. Probably not. Check 1 2 1 2. Can you hear me in Gilded? Check. Can anyone hear me in Gilded? No, clearly not.
Hold on, I'm gonna go there.
I can't. I can just see the way my thingy is doing things. Is there any chance someone can just type into the chat that we just got a minor technical issue? Because they're not going to be expecting that with this PC being so stable all the time and that.
Right.
I was in Arwen's chat like I think 2 days ago with Phil Bell, and he said that time was an independent variable.
Yeah, he always
And-
does.
I got him to define what manipulate means, and then hilarity ensued. He said,
Sorry. Can you hear him, Righteous?
Yeah, I can hear him.
And I can hear you. Can you talk to... I'm sorry, John. Can you just give us a few sentences so I can level you up?
Sure. I'm getting an
Jeez.
echo from
Yeah, it's
from
because it's
Skype
well loud.
or...
Yeah. Whoa.
All right, there we go. I closed in the meet, so everything sounds fine with the app now.
I don't know. I need to level you all up.
Yeah, your volume's low, Nathan.
Yeah, you might have been
How about
low.
now? Is that better? Any better?
Well, the app solved that then. That's good.
110%, maybe a bit more. 120%. Is that better? Can you hear me clearly? You can turn me up locally.
We can hear very clearly, just very low.
How about now?
Yeah, you're very low. No, I'm still low.
Okay. That's
Maybe there's
why.
like an output.
It's okay, I'll figure it out. It's because of auto game was turned off and I needed it turned on. How does that sound? Any better? Any better? Clearly not. Can you not hear me anymore? Hello? What the fuck?
Yeah, we hear
We
you.
can
It's
hear
still
you.
quiet though.
You can hear me, but just still quiet. Yeah, I need to be told that. Rather than just getting silence from you. I hate doing this shit. I'm sick of this. I've been doing this for about a month. So I need to be louder. Okay, how about now? Can you hear me
Anyways.
clearer now?
We can hear you. It's just you're still quiet.
So this isn't making any difference, me turning up the input volume from me. It's not. I'm not any louder or...
Nathan, you just
can
install the
just
app,
turn-
drop and rejoin, see what happens.
We can just
Am
we
I
can just
any-
turn you up locally, I think.
You're just going to have to
No.
turn me up. Is this not making any difference? I'm adjusting my input volume in...
Maybe
Guild.
since you switched to the app has a different gain on the
Sure.
app itself, unless it's something on your PC side, but you didn't change anything on your PC side, you only changed the app, so
Right.
maybe go into voice and video or whatever it's
That's what I'm
located and
doing.
then crank up your
Okay.
gain.
I just...
Yeah, go into settings.
Thank
Voice
you.
settings.
Yes, thank you. Okay. You're saying that I'm not any clearer even when I turn up my input gain in settings, which is where I am adjusting my input gain.
You're
and asking-
clear, but you're very low.
Okay, I'll
Your
try
volume
this
is
for
low.
a fourth
Nice and
time.
yeah, you're nice and clear, but your volume is so low. I'm struggling to hear you.
Okay, so I'll try this again. I am now turning up my input volume now and asking, now that I have turned it up, am I any louder?
No, not
Right.
at all.
Okay, so input volume, finally get my answer, makes no difference to how loud I am to you.
Yep.
Finally.
I actually
Now,
increased
okay,
you a bit,
okay.
but not enough.
Now I can move on. If I turn off determine input sensitivity, which I will now do now, am I any louder? Check 1 2 1 2.
No.
Am I...
No.
Okay. If I turn this up with the off switch on, which I will do now, am I any louder to you now?
No change.
So literally none of the buttons do anything. What a
You'll have
piece
to
of
shout.
shit. I've literally made no change to anything by doing anything. That I've just changed 3 fucking things.
I don't hear any difference in anything
Wow,
since
what a
you
pile of
switched
crap.
to the app.
What an absolute pile of crap. Let's see if this changes it, because I'll try this. Auto gain I'll turn off, which I turned on last time, but nobody established whether or not it made difference last time. So let's turn it off and do the whole thing again. Okay. Am I any louder now? Check 1 2 1 2. I've just turned it up on input
Still
volume.
low. Still
Still
can't
low.
hear you.
Okay. What about now? Am I any louder now?
No.
What about now? Am I any louder now?
You might be, but it's hard to tell.
No, you're not.
What's audio ducking? Let's turn that off. Any better? Any different?
And if you're still in that setting, make sure your auto sensitivity is turned off.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Make sure auto gain is off.
Okay, auto gain's off. Echo cancellation I'll turn off as well. Let's try everything off. How's that? Any better? Of course not. No difference. No answer. Just going to be here all fucking day. If I say, is there any difference? What I need to hear is, yes, there is a better difference, or no, it makes no difference, as opposed to complete silence. I'm going to give up in a minute. Seriously? Can they just not hear me at all?
That's
I
I just think
probably
there's
it.
probably one checkbox in this thing somewhere that would fix the whole thing.
I'm thinking it's maybe it's on his end now, how like OBS or something connects to the app versus connecting to the browser.
I have no idea.
But I can still hear you. We can just turn you up locally and turn everybody else down locally as a workaround on our end.
Yeah. How much?
And you can still hear us clearly, right?
Now it's our shite again. So the started off, oh wow, it's much clearer on Gilded. Is now Gilded's constantly sounding shite and causing me to be delayed by 15 minutes on my live show, meaning that it's now just
So it's
fucking
not
a
sounding
detriment
clear,
to
or
my
you're still
show.
hearing us crackle?
It's shite. This is shite. It's a detriment to the show. You know, it's lost me 15 minutes, and it still sounds like shit. So what possible benefit does Gilded now offer? I mean, it doesn't. It's just a fucking hindrance.
Right.
Actually, Righteous didn't sound too bad. The past few sentences he's been saying, at least to me. But I know
It's
I'm
been
on
cracking for
this-
me.
Yeah, at the end of his
Oh,
sentence, he'll start
shit.
crackling. He'll sound great for about 3 sentences, then he'll start crackling, and you're like, what in the holy fuck? It's a communication software that's had a couple of million spent on it, and you can't stop people crackling? It's useless. We're a pile of crap.
Let's go back to Discord.
Don't see we have an option to do anything else, because this is useless.
I already had the Discord already set up in case we did need it. And if we do need it, that is an option still. But I want to talk to Betty about it. I gotta make sure everything's
Can you
okay
just
with her.
turn your gain down? Your local gain, just to see if it's you overloading Gilded. Because it seems
my
some
local
people
gain?
who are
Okay,
quieter
give me a
than
sec.
you don't overload it and it doesn't clip. You do, and one deck definitely
What's
does.
this video?
Do you have on push to talk?
Output.
Me, I can't be on push to talk.
No, not you, Righteous.
No, I'm not on push to talk.
Okay.
Well, that's what happens with all of the phone users when they're not on push to talk. Maybe try that.
Doesn't happen with me.
I don't care. I just
Alright,
want
what
to solve
about now?
it.
I turned my.
Can I stop
turned
with the
my
right? We're getting
head
later
down,
and
but
later, guys. In G+.
doesn't
Sorry to be
say
rude.
anywhere to, like, say
Please cut out the color commentary. We just need to solve this audio issue and then move the hell on.
That's what I'm trying to do. This problem was the same problem with me and Chocolate. I'm trying to give you a possible fix. If he puts on push to talk, it might solve the problem.
Fine. Sorry, I'm being tetchy. I'm just sick of this. I've had this for a
Alright,
month.
what about now?
That's much better.
Is there any difference?
Or it will be
Yeah.
for one sentence till we get color commentary from G+, or you stop talking.
Alright, what about somebody else in Gilded? What did they sound like? Did they
Still doing
sound
the
fine?
same fucking thing. Ugh. I just starting to hate Gilded, basically. It offers nothing. Right, we've got to start sometime, so that's what we'll do.
Right, well,
Well, you can't say you didn't give it a try. Right?
I want it to be. I want it to be decent. If
Right.
someone joins and I have to have a conversation with
Right.
them like this, I'll just be heartbroken when I listen back and go, "Oh, it would be nice if the guest sounded clear." But unfortunately, every second fucking sentence has got their distorted, shitty voice coming through on my show. Just
I
heartbreaking.
think I
if
got
I'm
it
honest.
fixed. How about now?
No, you don't.
Am I
Yeah.
sounding good now?
No,
I got one sentence from you right just before I got color commentary, and then I couldn't hear you anymore, so I didn't get to test it.
Right. It turns out I had auto sensitivity turned on, so that might have been working it. How about now? Do I sound good now?
You're
That's-
crackling all the time.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most important, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now, we are joined by an absolutely fantastic and patient group of people, starting with Refracted Curvature, Eli, Chocolate, Arwin, Brian, 10th Man, and a whole bunch of people in Gilded, which we all love. So, welcome one and all.
Hello.
Morning, everyone.
What a day. What a lovely day.
Adam and Neil didn't get a mention.
Yeah, Gilded is giving us the Discord treatment. I mean, don't we remember how Discord used to do this all the time?
No,
Snubbed Brian.
no. Discord was always perfect, and I want to go back to it.
That's right. Except when you couldn't be heard and then had to re-log out and in again because you just suddenly your voice disappeared all the time.
No, Discord was perfect, and if I moan about how crap Gilded is, I can appeal to how much better that was. Shut up. I don't want to hear it. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere-edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth? I'll be
Well,
That
honest.
was a myth.
Go on.
Go ahead, John.
I was going to say in the mathematics, it's below surface level, and so is the refracted one they talk about too. It's also below surface level, so they don't have anything to do with reality.
No evidence.
The
Well-
refracted what? The refracted Earth curve? I mean, when you say refracted, it sounds like you're talking about light, not a physical curve.
But
Well, I'm
hold
talking
on
about-
now. Hold on now. If the horizon isn't geometrical, then what is the sun going behind when it's going under?
What if the sun doesn't go behind anything? What if it just fades out,
What if the
sets
sun-
without going behind the horizon?
Well, then it's terrestrial refraction, of course, but in general, it goes down, so it goes behind the curve of the Earth, right?
The refracted
No.
curve.
No.
Except when it doesn't.
Well, it can't be going behind the curve because in the math, that's below surface levels. No, that's not correct.
Well, none of it is true because in the celestial sphere model, the Earth is the center of the universe and it's motionless.
Well, there's something else that I pointed out with Polaris, but it's true for the rest of celestial navigation. Is that if they're claiming that the horizon is not geometric, that it's a refracted position that is always refracted at least 7/6 of the radius, then that means that they have obviously, as we've spoke about already, that what that is a physical change in the size of their globe. But then the 1.1508 ratio between nautical and statute miles won't work. It'll only work if your globe has a 3959 radius. It won't work if it's got over a 4,000 mile radius, which it would have with 7/6R. And remember, they often claim more than 7/6R. So God knows what size their globe is going to be tomorrow, or what size it is today. But it doesn't matter because the nautical to statute mile ratio will not work with 7/6R.
Brian, on that point, remember Andrew Thomas Young said that if you do the refraction calculation, then it would be at 1.32 miles rather than 1.2 miles at a 1 foot observer height. So even if you do what they say, look what happens. Black Swan still kicks them all over the place.
Yeah, but
Wait, don't you? Sorry, Brian. Go ahead.
no, you go talk. I could pop in a minute.
I was gonna say, don't you need R before you take R and put it into an equation?
Any evidence of the R value? Earth radius.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not.
Well,
If
this
there
is the whole.
No,
If
No,
there
there's no
was an
evidence.
R, if there was an R, you couldn't measure an angle to the stars to calculate an R.
yeah, if there was an R value measured for a globe Earth, then we would have the measurement. But we don't. We only have a value. It was never. Nobody in history has ever or will ever measure a radius to a globe Earth because we're not on one.
Because you can only do it if the Earth is actually flat. Because
That's right.
otherwise, if it was a ball, then it would not be that easy to try to measure that radius. Because
we
you don't
need at
have
the end with
a
the
flat
most
baseline.
important part of the argument. Indeed, you'll need a flat Earth for that. Any evidence that you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
Well, a sextant would be useless if you had an R.
Yeah, you can't
Right,
get
so you can
No,
only
no.
calculate it on a flat plane.
There's no evidence that you can use or that you can measure an elevation angle off a curved surface. No evidence. It's not even something you need to come up with evidence for. It's a no-brainer. You know,
Brian, what's the equatorial plane?
it's a horizontal plane through the center of a sphere, the globe Earth.
And
celestial sphere. No, it's through the center of a celestial sphere. It's not through a
I
globe.
agree with Brian. It's a no-brainer.
Well, no, the equatorial plane isn't. The equatorial plane isn't. That is actually claimed to be through the center of a globe Earth, not the celestial sphere.
You're both right, but John is more right.
I was about to
what they
say,
do,
hold on, who's right? But you're saying they're both
Well-
right. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. John's right because the origin is a flat plane under the dome of the heavens. Brian didn't mention that we're talking about Polaris in terms of its area of equal elevation, are we not? That would be the flat plane in the celestial sphere model. So tick, John's right. However, if you're going to claim that you've got the maps and the conversions and the projections, then you're going to describe how the sphere works within the celestial sphere model, wrapping a ball Earth around a flat plane, therefore putting a flat plane in the middle of a sphere, making Brian correct. Am I wrong?
well, let me explain.
The word equatorial.
All right. Anyone hear me?
We all hear
Yes.
you.
Well, okay, I was in the middle of explaining. All right, so John is right because in the celestial sphere model, there is no dingleberry. It's your eyeballs are at that equatorial plane, which is the same as the celestial equator. It's just that disk right between the imaginary celestial sphere. Brian's right because when you put the surplus to requirement, the dingleberry Earth, then you have something there to look at where they intersect. So the equatorial plane meets up with the celestial equator and goes all the way to the celestial sphere. When they do celestial navigation, all of the angle vertex measurements come from the center point. Where would that be? That'd be that dingleberry cut in half where your eyeballs are.
It's
So when
got
you
a different
read the
name. I
books,
thought you were wrong. I didn't want to correct you too soon. So it's not Dingleberry Earth in that regard. It's actually what we call the globe burger. So it's like the burger is the plane in the middle, and then the globe's wrapped around it.
That's just
If I
a
could just say
celestial
something.
sphere.
Yeah,
just
the
for
celestial
that
sphere with the
little
plane in the
thing.
middle. It's like, the burger being the globe wrapped around the bun, which is, the outside edge of the sphere that's not used, because the burger is what's used with a wrapping around it.
Well, if I'm
I can-
allowed to finish,
Go on,
your
10th. We're all
eyeball,
rumpusing you. Everyone just clear the road. Go on, 10th.
your eyeball on the surface of the ocean, what is that representing when the navigator's 10 foot above on a sailboat with the sextant? He's got to do dip correction to get his eyeball on the surface of the ocean. Okay? That surface of the ocean is the equatorial plane. That is where the angle is measured from. They move it to the center of an imaginary ball. That's why Brian's right. But John's right because there is no imaginary ball in the celestial sphere model. It's just your eyeball meeting at the celestial equator.
Well, hold on a sec, because there's one more thing. There is no globe Earth in the celestial sphere model.
That's what I'm saying. I agree with you. There isn't. There's just the celestial equator.
If I could just clear
I'm
up.
just get clarity for that. What you're saying, John, is that when they make that assertion, they're inserting the celestial sphere into the globe by bifurcating, whatever you call it, cutting it in half, and then putting it in. So they're massaging an after-the-fact globe model that's come from the celestial model into a depiction, but there is no globe model or globe of any description. There's the dome of the heavens. That's it in the celestial sphere model. Therefore, globe isn't existent in that model. When it's drawn in it, that's just them adding it to it, correct?
Right. The equatorial plane is just the plane running out to the horizon.
That's what that was really.
That's incorrect.
But that would be the.
That was the answer I was hoping for. You're saying it's incorrect. Let me just shout out Godzilla, Brian, then you can go ahead. Godzilla37, thank you very much for the super chat. He says, let's get a bit closer to my screen. Eading? Was it Eading? Eading? It has had. I can't understand what you're saying with this. Eading, it had without R. Does anybody else understand that?
In reference to your burger
reading,
problem.
Reading
like
without
eating is reading without R.
Eading is had without R. Is what is
Yeah.
actually typed. I don't know, Godzilla, but I'm very
Cryptic.
grateful for the super chat. Thank you very much indeed. Really appreciate your support. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I'm sorry about it. I was asked originally about the equatorial plane. There is no equator, so there can't be an equatorial plane in the celestial sphere model. There is only an equator in the globe model. The celestial sphere model is not a sphere. It's a personal apparent dome that's created by, but it's not even a dome. It's just depicted that way due to them using a protractor. It's an apparent dome model that's based on perspective. So there is no equator. There's no center point to the celestial sphere. As Nathan, your celestial sphere, where you're living and where I'm living tonight, will be two different ones. They'll be personal. Whereas the
Nobody
equator,
claimed that.
the
Okay,
equator,
no, I got that.
the
Go
equator-
ahead, John.
Yeah.
Nobody claimed that there was a center point. That's their claim.
Yeah, but I was asked about
But of a flat
equatorial
plane model saying, with Polaris 90 degrees overhead, and it's just the tangent plane if you were on that point, and they call it the equatorial plane, but there is no sphere in that except for the celestial sphere.
So what is that
There
model?
is no globe
Hold on.
model.
So if we're going to refer to it, and Brian saying that it's only from your personal space, when you say celestial sphere model, what are you talking about then?
The celestial sphere, the arc of the, you're talking about a model.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Talking
What is that
about
model
angle
then?
measurements from your position, right? That's just taken from as if you were directly below Polaris.
That's what I started with. I said it's an area of equal elevation for Polaris, right? What I'm getting at is, are the celestial sphere models that we presented merely an equatorial plane as we describe it because we've got a globe model, therefore it's only ever Polaris-centric because that's the equator? That's the question. I'll just read out Godzilla's response because it makes more sense, a lot more sense now. Actually, can I get it on screen? He says, I'm going to miss it going on screen now, and hold on. Have I caught it? Why is it going up? There it is. He says, Eading is hard without R. In other words, Eading is hard without R. Jeez. That's what he's trying to say. I mean,
And you're
obviously,
proving his point because you can't even read it without the R being where it's supposed to be.
I think
So
the
you're proving his
intention
point.
was if he writes it without the R's in it, and we go, what the hell are you babbling about? When he follows it up and puts the R's in, it suddenly makes sense. Making his first chat make sense, but without the second chat, it doesn't make sense. Therefore, it's a paradoxical super chat, which is next level stuff. There, Godzilla. It's gone from very, very underwhelming super chat to exceeding all expectations. Thank you very much for your support.
The celestial sphere is
I got the first one. Sorry, Tuck.
Well,
Is an
look at the smarty brain on you.
Shout out to Godzilla.
It's an imaginary bubble that surrounds the Earth onto which all the stars are positioned. It's imaginary. It's not real. You know, the picture we show of a protractor, and it's got that baseline. That's what they have. They double it to make the dingleberry. So that dingleberry doesn't exist. There is no globe Earth. And when you're looking at the stars, you're getting an angle. And so you need a baseline. So there's your equatorial plane, as they would have it called. But that's just your flat plane that we live on. And then
No, I
you got
get
the
that.
arc of the
But it's
protractor.
Polaris-centric. My question is more specifically about if I went and dug out a celestial sphere model or depiction thereof, it would merely be Polaris-centric, correct?
Yes. Yes,
Right.
that's why I said they're both right, because they're both coming at it from a different perspective of answering the question.
Yeah,
There's no globe in the celestial
I get
sphere
that.
model.
I get that. My hope is that we elucidate this for the audience. So yes.
Yeah, can I please add some clarity? You
Yes,
keep on
please do.
using words like equatorial, which is equator, equatorial, a center, and celestial sphere. No, it is not a sphere. It is an apparent dome based on perspective and using the model of a protractor. There is no celestial sphere, because you're begging the question when you say equatorial, and you're begging the question when you say sphere for a globe Earth. There is no sphere.
That's why I said you're right. That's why I said you're right, because it's imaginary. So again, when we're talking and explaining it, you have to take a position, role play. What role am I playing? Am I playing Brian, who's totally undressing the lie? Then you're right, the way you just said it. Am I playing someone who's explaining with the language they've put into the textbooks? Then I'm right. But there is no such thing because it's imaginary.
Yeah, well, a celestial sphere model would require a sphere Earth.
No, it
You know
wouldn't.
what I mean?
No, it wouldn't.
Well,
That's
how
false.
do you have a sphere? What good is the underneath of it if you never underneath it? If you know what I mean?
No,
The celestial sphere model
celestial
is not
sphere
a
model.
sphere.
Celestial sphere model only requires a protractor and a flat plane. Earth.
Yeah, but
Well,
it's
no.
not a sphere.
You're getting too pedantic here. It's not a sphere. In fact, it's geocentrism because the Earth is motionless, so there goes the sphere, and it's geocentric. The Earth is the center, so both those go against the globe, model anyway. So they're using it because it works, but they say, well, it's not really that way. We go around the sun. Well, then why don't you use that model? Well, it doesn't work that way. So we have to put the Earth in the middle. So you see, when they lie, they have to make up stuff. And then Brian is just catching them on all the stuff they're making up.
Well, I would like to point out, I'm not going to say that a model doesn't exist that they've been using for celestial navigation. I won't be doing that.
Yeah, but it's the celestial protractor model, not the celestial sphere, if you understand what I mean.
When
There
you
is no-
complete the southern hemisphere, it's of the northern hemisphere of the celestial sphere. And then they have the southern hemisphere of the celestial sphere. And they've just glued two flat planes together to do it. Has nothing to do with the globe Earth. I don't know why you said that.
Because we're required to be a sphere. We don't ever see that much sky. We only see our local sky. If I could see, if I look up, when I look up in the night time, do I see all the sky you see, John? No. And you don't see all the sky I see, because we're in two different parts of the world. So
Yeah, but it does not require it.
So that what the celestial, let me finish a second. The celestial sphere model is not a sphere. It's a local protractor model. That's what it really is.
The model of it is spherical. When you plot out all the points that they have, it's spherical because they're using the outside of a protractor. And if you put two protractors back to back, you get
a globe.
You get
a globe.
No, you don't.
Isn't that a circle?
No, you have
You have a
two
little
flat
globe. That's
planes.
the problem. That's the point I'm trying to
No,
make.
you don't.
The celestial
you don't.
sphere part comes from a globe. Then
Oh my
back
God,
engineering
no,
it
you
into a
don't.
globe.
You guys are talking
No,
two different
if you haven't applied the
arguments.
Haberstein formula, you do not have a globe yet. You have a flat plane with a celestial sphere. That's all you have at that point. You don't have a globe. I don't know why you keep saying that.
Because to me, it's begging the question. That is not what we see. It's a personal protractor model. That's what it is.
It's a model, Brian. It's not claimed to be reality until you do that and say that it's a globe model. It's not a globe model.
Well, to have a north and south hemisphere, it needs to be, and to be used that way, you need to be viewing things from a sphere Earth at the center of it.
Incorrect.
You both are on different points of the same argument. That's the problem. And you're both right when you describe it from the perspective you're both describing it from. Just realize all you've got is one baseline and perspective.
Nathan, what have you got to say on it as a final word, or Adam?
Well, I could summarize both your points because you're both right from where John's right from where he's coming from. He's absolutely right. You're absolutely spot on from where you're coming on. what you've got is you're living on an irregular plane, and your vision is your personal dome vision, basically the way your eyes work. And you need elevation angles, so that means you're on a plane. Now they've created a celestial sphere model, which they immediately say is imaginary. So it's not real. Okay, then they put in the word equator to describe your baseline. The equator is your baseline. But then they put the second half of that protractor on the bottom and put a globe in their, pictures. And then say there's something underneath, there's something above. Well, that doesn't exist.
Yeah, but I'm trying to define it for what it really is. It's a personal celestial protractor model. That's what it really
Correct.
is.
You're right. You're absolutely right. But John's right from where he's coming from. So it's just a higher argument at a different level of the deconstructing the lie. Let's put it that way.
But if you call it a celestial protractor model and you put two protractors together, right, that
Why are you doing
measure
that?
360, right? Just go ahead and let me finish. And you put those two together and you make a sphere. Why does it matter that you call it the celestial sphere model? Or are we just becoming triggered by the word sphere and we're assuming globe?
Well, that would mean that somebody using that, let's just say if they're using that model, what you're basically stating is someone else can be upside down antipodal from them using the model at the other end. Do you understand what I mean? That's not reality of what it is.
If you reify that model, you'll end up coming to that false conclusion. And that's also why the assert antipodal positions is the proof of a flat plane.
Yeah, but as soon as you start putting those two protractors together, you've already walked into Globeville. That's my point.
No, you haven't. No,
I think to call it the celestial sphere model is incorrect.
Adopt a flat plane at that point. I think as long as you remind them of that, they'll never address it.
Yeah, you are using the center point to get the angle. I'm not stating any different from that.
The baseline. We're talking about the baseline, not the center point. Baseline is the Earth.
The center baseline, right? But there is only a center baseline because you're making a sphere out of it. In reality, you're just using the horizontal baseline we live on and taking angular measurements to celestial bodies within your local area.
That's a celestial sphere model when you want to depict that and try to explain it to anybody. That you'll come up with the celestial sphere model. If you're going to use those.
Why do we need to put two protractors together? Why would we ever need to do that when we'll never be antipodal to ourselves? That's my point. Why would you do it?
Well, there's those 2 points of rotation in the sky, so they probably, assume falsely that they're. Of course, they're not. Like I said, but they still have to assume it's a flat plane to assume that.
I'm not arguing that point. I'm just arguing that our terminology for it, we're not describing it. We're describing it as it's being described to us over the course of time. But that is not a correct description of what it is as an actual model in use.
Right, but
when you experience it.
To say that it's a globe description is incorrect. There's no description of a globe in there. There's a description of a sphere, but no globe.
Yeah, I understand that. But the point I'm making is that as soon as we put the two protractors together, we are basically begging the question of antipodal. We are putting the southern stars underneath the northern stars and the northern stars above the southern stars.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? That's a flat Earth claim.
It's no
What's wrong
reason
with that? That's a flat Earth claim.
Yeah, it is, but would it not be more in line with reality where we don't have a center point, we just have a horizontal baseline, and we are taking perspective measurements of the celestial bodies above our horizon? Wouldn't that be more correct?
We could discuss that, but I don't think they're ready for that much thought of it. Like if they want to, I'm just saying if they want to assert anything, they're going to need a flat plane for it.
Well, it'd be interesting to see if they will be willing to fight for the antipodal flat plane. That we don't experience.
Now you're in agreement. Hold on. Now you've come to agreement with that statement, right? So what you're saying, Brian, is, well, that let's see if they utilise the upside down antipodal positioning of a flat plane sandwiched on top of another flat plane with the perspective view as you describe it from your vantage point in a Polaris centric manner, if you're going to depict it in the way I'm about to put on screen.
Yes, but you missed that last part I said. The last part of the sentence was that we don't experience. That's the point.
Sure.
So not only will they have to use a flat plane, but they're going to have to come up with a scenario that we don't experience. And that's the point I'm making. We don't experience this antipodal thing. We experience the same horizontal baseline at all times when we're using the celestial sphere model. Sorry, Neil.
There's no stars underneath me, right, Brian?
Exactly. Unless they want
Yeah,
to
but I
prove
mean,
this.
if you're arguing about the shape of Earth, I'll go ahead and concede antipodal. They'll need a flat plane to get it. I don't care. Like, assert whatever craziness they
There you
want.
go. That's a fair
But
point. That's a fair response. In fact, that's an excellent
I
response.
agree with him too.
No worries. So I'll concede to the fact that you need one flat plane on top of another. No worries. Still need a flat plane then. Just need two of them.
I wouldn't do that. Yeah, that's John. I'm not John. John makes his own decision. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't give them an antipodal flat plane because I don't experience that. Nobody experiences antipodal.
I didn't say you had to accept it, but you don't have to argue it.
You know, you don't have to, but I prefer to argue for just for what we experience. If we're going to use the
Hold
model,
on. I think the subtlety has been lost. What John's saying is, you can argue the nonsensical, presumably unproven claim, baseless assertion, when they say there's antipodal positioning. Well, like we would argue if we're not talking about the celestial sphere model, two flat planes on top of each other, antipodal description. We're talking about a globe with you on the top surface and then on the bottom surface being antipodal. We would still say that, as Brian is, that you're begging the question of being antipodal, and you'd rather argue the fact because that's not something we observe and certainly won't be something they're proving when they're making that baseless assertion, right? Well, John's saying, well, yeah, that may very well be the case, but you don't have to argue it. It's unproven. They're not going to be proving that baseless assertion. So therefore, just go for the win. You still need a flat plane for it.
Yeah, my issue would be handing. Sorry, Neil.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm just saying I see what John's saying now. I was lost a little bit, but now I understand what John's talking about.
Well, let me throw this at you. This is why I won't go into that with them, and I won't give them the antipodal flat plane. Not only because we just don't experience it, and that's not how the celestial sphere model, as they call it, is used, because it's not. It's a celestial personal protractor model, right? But the point is that they automatically have to believe that they're getting angles antipodal from each other for the north and south stars. When you put two protractors together, the horizontal baseline of the protractors, you put them together, one north, one south, you're giving them the internals of their globe to keep their BS alive. I don't see the point in doing that, because they are already claiming they're taking angles, that they're moving the angles from a tangent plane to the center of the globe. If you give them antipodal as well, you're giving them something. You're actually handing them a step that they don't deserve.
Okay, before you respond, John, just for the audience's benefit. So on screen now, right, we've got how are you going to get this angle measurement? Let's pretend this yellow disc is actually Polaris, right? And what Brian's saying is, why would I concede that this angle measurement that's going to be taken off a plane, claimed to be a tangent plane, with an antipodal reversal of this, i.e. you flip this on a vertical axis, so it's upside down, yeah? That's what we're talking about. Well, to accept that, well, you're right way up, but your previous measurement's the upside down one, right? Brian's saying, well, why the hell would I accept that? Why would I accept that a measurement taken down under is suddenly the antipodal inverse of this depiction on screen? I'm not going to accept that. That's nonsense. What John's saying is, you're still going to need a flat plane for that, aren't you, right? So who cares? That's where we're at.
Yeah, I understand John's point. I'm not saying that his point is not valid. I'm just saying that I don't see the point in handing them a step that they need. I want them to have to really fight hard for everything or I don't want to give them that. They don't deserve it because I don't experience that. No one experiences that in reality. So I don't want to give them even an antipodal flat plane. I want them to have to stick with the flat plane the horizontal baseline we use in reality. And I don't want to give them a separate horizontal baseline that's antipodal from that, because that's a step towards what they want, the argument they want to be able to make. So they show me they prove your antipodal. If you're going to be claiming that there's an antipodal flat plane.
We've both stepped on John now. Go ahead, John. Unless you haven't got
the step towards antipodal or whatever, I'm sure they would love to argue whether you're antipodal or not instead of whether it's a flat plane or not. I'm sure that is exactly where they would love to go.
Yeah, that's where I was going to summarise. Well said. I will just repeat it because that was what I was going to say and I haven't got anything else to come back with. Yeah, their preference, Brian, speaking to you directly, would be to argue the toss about whether or not when I travel south, my measurement is antipodal from when I'm north. They'd rather argue about that than both measurements needing a flat plane. I think that's the stronger point here. I'm sorry, Brian. I should side with you because you're...
No, I understand that, but I still wouldn't. No, I won't. Because I'm dealing with...
You didn't let me finish. You didn't let me finish. I said I should side with you because we have always taken that stance, haven't we? Hold on. What do you mean antipodal from my position? You mean when you go down there, you automatically assume that where you started was where your feet are pointing towards now? No. Why would I assume that? That's been our stance. So how can I disagree with you is the point I was going to make at the end, which is to say, to back 10th and hopefully bring him back into the conversation when he said, you're both right. You are right in many ways, more ways than one, in this particular instance, because we'd be taking a slight deviation. But I was going to disclaim that John isn't us in himself, is he? Because he's put out a challenge that says, I'll concede all of it. And in this instance, he's going, yeah, I'm just demonstrating out my personal position, John's personal position, refracted curvature's position, is to say, it doesn't matter. And here's another example of it not really mattering. They've still got to have a flat plane.
Yeah, right, well, if the debate is called flat earth debate, at the point that they concede, why do you want to argue further?
But see, my point would be that the personal celestial protractor model, as I am going to start calling it, that is something that we use on the surface of Earth. So as soon if I give them an antipodal flat plane, then I'm placing them at the center where they want to be, and then they have a center point that they can start claiming to measure angles from. I'm talking about, no, this is something that's used in your personal space wherever you are at that time, and you use the horizontal baseline that the Earth has. There's no antipodal going on. You're using that on the surface of Earth. It's not something you're bringing to the center of something. That personal celestial protractor, a personal dome, celestial dome, you're using that on the surface of Earth. My point would be that as soon as you give them an antipodal one, that puts them at the center where they want to be, because they don't want to have to deal with the surface. They don't want to have. I'm keeping them on the tangent plane. I don't want them going down to the center.
I don't want. I'm just trying to keep them on a plane. If you look to have a debate or an argument with someone, you need a point of contention. If the point is conceded, why would you continue to argue with that person?
Well, they have no hassle. See, because that's the argument has moved on a little bit with them. What I mean by that is I'm dealing with people, one person who's a well-known baller, who is okay with claiming angles from a flat plane from the center point of a globe, because he's also claiming antipodal, if you know what I mean.
He's claiming he measures angles from the center of Earth.
No, he's claiming that he'll use a tangent plane to measure an angle from the surface and then move that down to the center point of the globe. I don't want him to even get to move it down. I'm keeping it on the surface, because as soon as my point being with this, and I don't want to spend too much time on the show where people zeroes out with it, is that as soon as you give them an antipodal flat plane where you put two protractors together, you're giving them their center where they want to be. I don't want them leaving the surface. I want them staying on the surface where we actually use the celestial dome model or protractor model.
No,
But
gotcha.
you're surrendering, if you're keeping them on a tangent plane, you're keeping them on a curved surface in their minds. Why would you even bother with that?
They can believe what they want is hanging off the end of it. They're stuck on the tangent plane. The fact that the tangent plane.
Hold on, hold on,
basement.
stop. Your arguments become self-defeating. You don't want to take John's stance because it means you've given them a bit of globe, but you're saying I'll keep them on a tangent plane. You're giving them a bit of globe, so you kind of
Well, I can't stop them begging the question of a tangent plane. I can't stop that, but I can not facilitate them going to the center of a globe.
Right.
That's my point.
This is where you've got to concede that John's stance is miles better then, because if you're saying that, then it comes back to the original point that they'd rather argue about whether or not you're antipodal when if you've got to give them a bit of globe to be on a tangent plane to keep them on the surface, why not just take the win there and then? So we're going to need a flat plane for that. It doesn't matter if you're on upside down antipodal from your position when you talk about the second flat plane that you need a flat plane. At which point you're not giving them anything. You're just taking the win.
Well, that's my point. Like, I'm keeping it on the tangent plane that they're going to make up in their mind. I'm not allowing them. Well, it doesn't matter. They're going to be begging that question.
You're keeping them on it. It doesn't mean it doesn't matter. Of course it matters. Tangent to a globe. So you're keeping them on the globe while you're arguing that you want to keep them on the surface, but you can't help how they beg the question of what the surface is when you're keeping them on a tangent to what? Plane? Doesn't matter. Yeah, it does. When you could have already took the win at that crossroads. Obviously, this means that you have to sort of concede defeat to John's superior point here, Brian, but it sounds like you're not going to.
No, and I'll tell you why. Because in my experience with them arguing this point, what they want to do is bring it to the center so they can then start talking about measuring 60 nautical miles per degree along coast.
Center of what? Hold on. Center?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Center of what?
Point that I don't want to bring them to.
Say, you haven't brought them to the center of what? You haven't told us the center of what? What have you brought them to? At that point, there isn't a globe. That's where we started, right? John explaining, well, where's the globe in this? There isn't one. So when you say, oh, I don't want to take them to the center. No, you're just standing on a flat plane with a perspective view of the stars in that model. There's not taking them to the center of the globe burger unless they take their, oh, well, look, this is how we show the celestial sphere model with a a surplus to requirements globe in the middle. And that's what we're going to the center of. But they haven't done that if you're only at the celestial sphere model. You're still just at the flat plane and can take the victory. It doesn't sound like you like this, but...
Sphere, when I hear celestial sphere, it means the same to me as the word atmosphere. You're begging the question for me.
That's what I've been thinking the entire time. Right, that's the reason I agree with you the most on this, because I hear celestial sphere.
This isn't agree, disagree. I'm sorry, gentlemen.
It is. Oh, contrary, John. It is. Hold on. 10th's picked up on it, and it was the reason I started this conversation. I'm not smiling and smirking because I wanted this conversation to develop this way. And the question that started was, what's the equatorial plane? So over to you, Brian, because you originally explained why both of you were right, because of the terminology that allows them to beg the question, right? It's a magic word, equatorial.
Yeah, you're begging the question of the center of a sphere, with the equatorial, you're begging the question of the center of their globe, because the equatorial plane only exists within their globe.
Stop. Yeah, that's been reiterated, but now John's got to come back from that, right? Yeah, you're now winning. Notice how the sparks are flying off this sharp blade. No one's having their head chopped off. We are arguing about the refinement of an argument, just in case anybody didn't realise that. Just how sharp this blade is. I'm seeing the sparks fly. It's brilliant.
Can we go to master debaters once everyone's done?
Hold on, John. Right. What about this? What about this defining word with equatorial? Then that's where we started, and hopefully where we'll get a decent response out of you on the fly. We'll see how it goes.
The equatorial plane is just the flat Earth model, as if Polaris was directly over your head, and they have, because the equator, there's no equator line on Earth. There's no such thing.
But it's the equatorial plane, John. Right, Brian?
It's a plane.
Yeah.
It's a plane.
But equatorial, what's an equator? What is that? Is that like a outside edge of a sphere sort of thing that would put you in the middle of it if you were talking about it?
No.
No.
It's derived from this movement of the stars.
It's derived from, but it does have its description at the center of a sphere then.
No.
Yeah. What do you mean no?
Are you telling me that there is an equator on the Earth?
No, in the same way there's no refraction in terrestrial refraction, right? No, I know there's no equator, it's imaginary. But what is it in this linguistic magic trick? Well, it's the outside edge of a sphere right there. Is it not?
Right, celestial sphere.
No, because this is a magic trick. It's a magic word. So no, and yes, as 10th originally started with. Because, but no, because you're describing it within the context of that actual flat Earth model, but the word makes that area of equal elevation the outside edge of a sphere just by using the word, doesn't it?
Define equatorial.
Outside edge of a sphere.
Celestial sphere, correct.
I didn't have to say that, though, did I? I didn't say that. Did I say that? Did it come out of my mouth? Did it need to come out? It didn't.
No.
Making Brian right.
No,
what's celestial sphere again?
Celestial sphere is flat Earth model. Flat Earth model.
Yeah, the flat Earth model with the celestial sphere, yeah. Just because you say sphere doesn't mean you're saying globe.
Doesn't mean it means there's an equator either.
Saying celestial sphere almost sounds like you're assuming that the celestials, the sky, is spherical shaped. That's a little weird.
Yeah.
So I hear the same. Like I agree with Brian. Like I hear the same thing. Like atmosphere.
It has to be a flat Earth for that.
That's correct. It needs that qualifier. Hence, you're still in the superior position when you declare that, because all of this is moot. If you took the victory when John said you should take the victory. Yeah, you're going to need a flat plane for that. End of argument. Right? The antipodal? Who cares? Doesn't make any difference. Because they need to use words like equatorial plane to beg the question of their sphere to put them in the centre of it when they're talking about measuring planes. But ultimately, they're still, as John's superior argument identifies immediately, measuring planes at the centre of a sphere when they beg the question with an equatorial plane.
Yeah, but my point, I still would stick on my point that why would I put two protractors together to give them an antipodal flat plane? Why would I give them that? I don't see the point in giving them that. I'd stick.
Stop. Okay. Let's not rehash the entire last 20 minutes. You are right, Brian, and more right than John. However, John's more right than you, though.
Right, but is this debate called antipodal debate? Is this the antipodal
This is
debate?
the real one, isn't it? No, it's not. It's called flat Earth debate because we live on a flat Earth.
Game over. Put
Game
your
over
car
the moment
apart.
they start using
Get you
it
some
and measuring
popcorn
it.
out and
That's
laugh.
it. They can beg the question of it being antipodal after they've measured it flat. Yeah, who cares?
When everyone's done, can you go to Master Debaters and look at some slides so people can follow through?
I'll put a link in the Wikipedia link in the Master Debaters too.
Okay.
I would just like to point out, if you want to debate somebody or argue with somebody, there needs to be a point of contention. Why would you argue past the point that they concede?
But
Your
antipodal is the
point.
point of contention.
That's after the point of... No. That point of contention, John's point, is that point of contention comes after the concession that they're going to be measuring it flat.
No, it doesn't. Because what comes first is they are begging the question of a tangent plane. Second is they bring it to the center of a sphere. So when you give them a
sorry, you can't hear yourself
sphere
clearly.
model,
Sorry. Let me just repeat back to you what you just said. First, we start with a plane, you said.
yeah. First,
Yeah.
They start.
There it
They
is.
start.
But
Yeah.
first, we start with that
With a tangent
plane,
plane.
that flat plane that we're going to measure that's flat. Right? That's the first step. And then we'll put it at the centre of a sphere with tangents.
Yeah,
Right.
but this is my point. They start with a tangent plane, and then want to move it to the center of a sphere. When you give them the celestial sphere model, you're giving them a center point with an antipodal flat plane. Well, I don't see the point in that when, well, if we stick with reality, they're not stuck on what they want to believe is a tangent plane, but you don't allow them to bring it to the center point. You, from that tangent plane, prove antipodal.
I gotcha. So if they're just going to start with the measurement of the angle, then John wins in his path, because it's just like, well, all right, so we're measuring a flat plane, game over. However, if they're subtle and clever anti-flat earthers, they may start by asserting that we've got a tangent. Yeah, you're listening, Rufy. yeah, tangent. To what now? No, it's all refracted. You haven't got a tangent. That aside, Brian's point is that once you've got them on the tangent plane, they're also on a plane that they then need to move to the centre of a sphere Earth, and you just don't need to let them because they're already on a plane. So in either event, it just depends on how your opponent approaches you with the begging the question that they're going to have to use. Either they're going to be begging the question of an equatorial plane, i.e. area of equal elevation for Polaris, that's to then, by magic, become the outside edge of a sphere, or they're going to start by saying, I've got a dingleberry Earth dangling below a flat plane, and in either event, you can take the win right there and then. They've started with the plane. Why let them go to the centre? Why let them assume that the outside edge is somehow the outside edge of a sphere that you'd be traversing if you were at that edge, rather than the flat plane you're actually measuring in both instances? So you're still both right. But Brian is a bit more right than you, John. But also, Brian, you're so very wrong. Brian, John's just better.
Well, you're just opening up a can of worms when you say tangent plane. You need to say planes. They need two of them. They need one for the star, so that's the GP, and you need one for the observer with the instrument called the sextant. That's his or her GP. Now you have two tangent planes. It doesn't work that way.
You see, the point I'm making is that in reality, when do we use what we call the celestial sphere model? When do we use that? We don't. We use a celestial dome or protractor model from the surface of reality.
That's on screen now. Just so you know, so you know, it's being talked about. It's on screen. So for the audience's benefit, this is what we're talking about in terms of the circle at the bottom, the flap disc. That's what you're actually going to be measuring, your altitude angle. And where is that? Well, this is the star that you're measuring in your view. That's you in the middle, looking out to measure an angle. The only way you're going to get it is by if this line between you and the GP of the star that you're measuring is a flat line, a flat baseline. That's how you get angles. That's how it's done. Now, in case you hadn't been following along, you can then say, oh, no, there's two of these, right? One's on top of the other one. They're both flat planes because you can only get angles from them. But then we're going to say that instead of this that you're seeing in the form of the stars, we're going to say that, no, you are actually at the centre of a sphere Earth that will draw around you. And that looks something a bit like this. But obviously you can't be standing in the centre of a sphere, because I begged the question before we started this process that I was standing on the top of a flat plane tangent to the sphere. So therefore, this is a tangent plane that I automatically assume, because I'm going to be measuring angles and I can't measure them any other way. That's why we've got this floating plank on top of a sphere with another sphere around it, with you not at the centre of it. So Brian's saying, well, why are we letting them move to the centre? This is what we're actually doing, and this is where they're going to take you. They need to take you from here to here.
Is there a positive claim of a tangent point on Earth?
They will always make.
And has that been debunked? And has that been debunked?
You're talking about the black swan. But when they're making the tangent plane, they're not. The tangent plane for them is at their feet. Sorry, Doctor.
I was going to say, you're asking, has it been debunked? Has it been proven in the first place?
No, it was never proven, but it was a positive claim that they made. Without proof. Without proof. Something they asserted, but it has been shown to be impossible.
Well, if Nathan shows tenth slide where it says altitude and azimuth, that is the real world application of what I term as the celestial dome or celestial protractor model. It's the personal celestial dome or personal celestial protractor model. That is the real world application of that. So I don't see, and that has nothing to do with the center of a globe.
Well, it's a hemisphere.
Unless you guys start calling it the apparent celestial sphere.
That's half of a sphere.
Chocolate. It's already mentioned by them. It's imaginary. Can we get to this?
Yeah, but it gets confusing. I think Chocolate is right. Why don't we start calling it the apparent?
It's already called that.
Yeah,
goodness, you
Sense
guys-
is right. If they already defined it as imaginary, then they've already
Can we go
got the
through
word
the
for it.
slides?
Gotcha.
Can we go through the slides, please?
Yeah, which one would you like to start with? As I've been talking my way through them. Thank you for providing them. Where would you like to start as they're your slides?
How about the beginning, the first one? The celestial sphere, a globe of the sky.
Got it.
All right, an imaginary bubble that surrounds Earth, onto which all the stars are positioned. Okay, now you got to realize when you're looking at all this stuff from the textbooks and everything else, you have to realize they're reifying it as an exact duplicate of a sphere Earth with latitude and longitude lines that are exactly represented on the inner surface or outer surface of that celestial sphere, and the stars attached to them. Okay, so everything is lockstep. All right, you've got this big old celestial sphere, where the little Earth in the middle, and all those things are lockstep. But this is all a lie, but this is how you got to see it if we're going to go through these slides. This is what they're trying to do. This is why flat Earth angle measurements to Polaris kill them. All right, like the Earth's celestial sphere has a North Pole and a South Pole and an equator. No, really, does it? I just said it was imaginary. Next slide. Now you see this viewpoint, and there's your longitude lines. And of course, you would also have latitude lines. And then you have the stars, and it's all projected onto the Earth. This is the way they want you to see it, that this isn't reality. Next slide. Now, a little hint of reality. We have a tangent plane with an observer on it in this black and white version. The celestial sphere is seen from the outside, showing an orthographic view of it. So now, wait a minute. The measurements, according to them, are coming from the center. Why is the guy standing on the tangent plane on the surface? That doesn't make any sense. So you can see it starts breaking down when you get into some details here. Next slide. So this is what you need. You need the sun over a plane, not an equatorial plane, but just a plane. And you need an observer with an angle measuring device called the sextant. And you can get your elevation angle and you can work it out. So this is what's happening. This is what the guy in the previous slide was standing on. The surface of something that doesn't exist. Because even in their books, all the measurements are coming from a cutout version of the Dingleberry globe Earth from the equatorial plane. Of course, they have to stick that in, as Brian said, it doesn't exist. Next. Oh, well, let's look at this guy. So this is where the measurements are coming from the center. Well, I'm not at the center. You just showed me on the top with a plane underneath 2 slides ago. So now my eyeballs are at the center. What's going on here? Okay, but all of that is surplus to requirement. Next slide. The one that Brian says, altitude and azimuth, your local view of the stars, the way your eyes work. I mean, you got 90-degree right down the middle, and you look to the left and right of your eyes, wherever you are now in your room, your office, it starts going down to 0, just like this picture here. This is what's happening here. Okay. Next slide. Now you can see the surplus to requirement. They call it the invisible hemisphere. Yeah, it's invisible. It doesn't exist. None of it exists. We live on a disk, an equatorial plane, they call it, but it's really an irregular plane that we live on. And the stars are moving above us, and our view isn't forever. So we get that star movement that's personal to each of us. Next. Now you've got a problem. You've got the center of Earth where it's all supposed to emanate from, where no one's at. You've got a person here above the sea level. That's the height of I. And then you've got a dotted line saying actual horizon if the height of I is at 0 minutes, 0 seconds. Well, what is 0 minutes and 0 seconds? Well, that's their equatorial plane. That's where it's all level. Wait a minute, that's supposed to be at the center of the Earth, though. Why is it up here? And why is it going into outer space, it looks like, which doesn't exist either? You see, this is the dead giveaway right here. That's their tangent plane, which is the irregular plane we live on. Everything under the dotted line is surplus to requirement. The next slide. You're in an airplane above the Earth, and you're using an artificial bubble horizon sextant. And the plane of the celestial horizon, which means it matches the equatorial plane exactly and goes all the way to the imaginary celestial sphere. Then what is that disk on top? Isn't that kind of like that plane the guy was standing on? Well, with the sextant when he was on the Earth. This is showing you that a plane at 5 miles up is going to have the same thing as if you were at the center of the Earth. Let that one ruminate in your mind. Next slide. Horizon coordinate system. Now, this is where they die. See that top part? That's what Brian's been arguing all the time. That's the observer's viewpoint. That's what you see. You need a flat, irregular plane to do it on. That's what John's been arguing all the time. John's got a very high level argument. It ends right away. Brian takes away all their begging the question and ends it right away. You're both right. I'm done.
Thanks, Tent.
Yeah, indeed.
Nathan, would you go to the Earth and Sky, where it says the Earth and Sky? That one that Tent put up.
Yeah.
Thank you. As you can see, they're calling this, it's off to the left, the celestial sphere. It says, if an object is above the horizon, it is visible. If it is below the horizon, it is blocked from view by the Earth, right? As you can see, you have, within the diagram, you have a visible hemisphere where the person is standing, and underneath that person is the invisible hemisphere. So, like, when you're giving them a celestial sphere, you're already begging the question for them. That's my point.
Okay. John, any last comment before I round out the live show and ask everyone to stay tuned if they're watching on after show?
No, if they're claiming that they're existing on a flat plane in the middle of a sphere, that's not a globe claim.
With that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Programming Streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on an after show. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!
I don't want to give them an antipodal anything. They must prove there's an antipodal. I don't want to give it to them. Because if I give them the antipodal, they might still be on a flat plane, but they're doing a little bit better than they were when they're on a tangent plane.
The tangent plane's an oxymoron. You're giving them an oxymoron.
Well, I'm not giving it to them. I can't help them. I'm not going to say you have a tangent plane and you're on it now. That's their claim. I'm just not going to, I don't want to then allow them to move from that tangent plane to take the angle down to the center of their sphere. Because I know the next step is they want to start talking about 60 nautical miles per degree being measured along the surface of the sphere. Whereas I want to keep it there, keep them on what they're pre-assuming to be a tangent plane.
Brian, let me introduce, hang on, John, if I may. Let me introduce the killer. The killer is if they want to go to the celestial sphere model, which they have to, it is imaginary, number one. And number two, it's motionless and the Earth is at the center. So if you have a globe Earth at the center of this imaginary model and it's motionless, then that's just admitting that it's the stars that are moving. And so that's, hang on, that's how I walk in the room, sorry. So if it's a motionless Earth in the center of a celestial sphere model, that destroys them right there because they're saying the Earth is rotating. The whole thing is that we're on the plane. Just because they label it the equator doesn't mean it's at the center of anything or it's an equator.
So when you get 90 degrees in the celestial sphere model, right?
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with Earth then, right?
Yeah, it's got everything to do with Earth. You're getting it from Earth. You're navigating Earth with it.
Okay.
What do you mean it's got nothing to do with Earth? Am I not following something?
No, yeah, I'm just saying that I don't see why, like, if the argument is over whether the Earth is a sphere or not, at the point they concede it's not a sphere by going to a model where Earth is not a sphere, it's an irregular plane. Why continue to argue?
I agree with you. This is the whole point is that when they also say the celestial sphere model is the Earth is motionless and the stars are moving, why are you using that archaic model to prove the opposite? It dies on so many levels.
No, we must stay away from a favored location at all costs, man. What do you mean?
I think
you don't want the mind experiment to end, do you?
Can I give you their current rhetoric?
Go ahead, Brian.
Because I have been dealing with their current rhetoric. And they've been starting this rhetoric a while back, but now this is what they're sticking to. They're claiming that a mariner is on a boat with a sextant on the deck, looking out. He takes an angle between a refracted 7/6R horizon and a celestial body, right? He then, with the dip angle correction, corrects that line up to his eye line, right? They completely ignore height of eye correction. That's not part of that, and they are not bringing the vertex down to the water. They will not define that. None of them will define it. I've asked them and asked them and asked them. Not one of them will address it. So what they're doing is they're bringing a dip angle from a claimed refracted horizon up to their eye line, and then they're trying to call their eye line a tangent plane, even though it's not touching the surface of what they're claiming to be a sphere, which would be the water underneath the boat.
Yeah, I could.
From there, one second. From there, they're going directly to the center of the globe.
Yeah, but they invoked four flat Earths in that. And that claim that you just spoke out, they invoked the flat Earth 4 times.
Yeah, but they're not even creating a correct tangent plane. They're
He's
completely
not hearing you.
avoiding height of eye correction and
You've
all
done this the whole
definitions
show,
of it.
Brian. You've done
And they're
this the
trying
whole
to claim
show.
dip correction is a dip to a refracted horizon. Now, their 7/6R destroys them. It's just absolutely destroys them because they won't have the correct ratio, right, between nautical and statute miles. But what they do is once they do this and then bring it straight to the center of the globe, the first question they start asking you, right, is how does 60 nautical miles work on your flat Earth model, right? Because you have to use trigonometry for the celestial bodies, right, and not elevation angles, and that means you have to give us heights to your celestial bodies. That's where they're trying to bring it as soon as they get to go to the center.
So you're not dealing with globe Earth arguments, you're dealing with anti-flat Earth arguments, is what you're saying.
what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to members only Nathan Oakley 1980 stream. If you are watching this after the fact and you're not subscribed or a member, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Obviously, if you are watching this live, you are a member, so you can enjoy the dulcet tones of whoever is in Gilded and G+, while I do nothing but listen, which is fantastic. So I'll hand over to them right now.
Establish that horizontal at the roy line, or a horizontal with an artificial horizon or with a bubble sextant, right? They're immediately just using that very small horizontal to take their angle and go straight to the center of the globe. That's what they're trying to do. And come 1 second. This is my point. The height of void correction is the absolute killer of their model.
I agree.
And that's the one thing they were avoiding.
I did not miss your point. I did a whole hour thing with Mitchell to dip or not to dip. That is the correction. I get it. This is the thing that led me to start this whole thing, to bring it out, as I saw that. So when your eyeball's on the water surface, there is no dip. The refraction, it doesn't matter what they say. If they want to go and reinterpret what dip correction is, which is what they're doing, they're wrong already, because it's a subtractive factor. You don't bring anything up. You bring your eyeballs down to the surface of the water. And with a Mariner sextant, you're using the horizon. Well, if you're bringing your eyeball down to the surface of the water and you're using the Earth's horizon, that's got to be flat all the way for an elevation angle. And the radius of the circle of equal altitude of the stars is a straight line. So all I have to do is say, you just went in on purpose, redefined what dip correction is to keep your globe alive. That's all you did here.
Yes. Also, 1 second, John, very quickly. I'll make it quick. Yes, but they're fine with the term dip correction because that allows them to beg the question. They're not fine with height of void correction. They will not address that. Ruth tried it, and then he failed with me privately.
For the audience,
they're dipshits. That's
hang on. For the audience sake, the height of I is the dip correction, and I could prove this left and right and center. There is no way they can redefine that method that you have to do to bring your eyeballs to the surface of the water. There's no way. Well, it's the same thing. Now they can try, but I'm not interested in converting anti-flat earthers who have to redefine everything and also contradict the globe at the same time. I'm not interested in those people.
Yeah, but not really, because in recent times, and the David Sextant manual, I love the David Sextant manual's diagram, because they are begging the question, even in the David Sextant manual diagram, with a dip correction being separate from the height of void correction. And that's what they've done. They've separated the two as if they're not the same thing, and they've used the dip correction as a part of begging the question. And that's why none of them will address height of void correction. So, but hang on, 1 second, leave me finish. If you're speaking with them and you're talking about dip correction, they're quite happy to talk about dip correction and not even put an argument up, because when they talk about dip correction, it's the dip of an angle to a 7/6 horizon, that they will then bring that line up to the roy line, get the horizontal they need, just to take the initial angle and then go straight to the center of the globe.
Okay, but
when they have to address height of void correction, 1 second, when they have to address height of void correction, they can't do that because the vertex has to come down to the water underneath the boat. That's my point.
Again, you're saying it, and you're quite right in reporting what they're doing, but it's dead on arrival, because there is no dip correction, not get this now, dip correction when your eyeballs are in the water. So no 7/6.
They're avoiding that part.
Hang on, let me finish. Yeah, I know they're avoiding that part. That's why I'm making up all this junk. I've got. Why do you think I bought the books? Why do you think I could just easily just grab a hardcover book and say, here's what it is, and I could go on the internet and validate it with many sources. So when anti-flat earthers have to go to the extent of lying and making up stuff, I love it. It's just more embarrassment for them.
Well, what I would say is that. Go on, John. I'll talk.
I just want to point out that when they claim that there's a geometric horizon, that they're doing a dip correction to refracted horizon, both of those claims require a flat plane. So, and then the depression angle from your eye level to sea level, that requires two flat planes. And so they beg the question of 4 flat planes to confuse the issue, I guess, because they've not used the descriptions of what they're actually doing. Because the geometric and refracted horizons both exist below surface level. And what is the horizon, if not where the sky meets the surface?
Yes, that's all fine. But height of void correction stops them from doing all that. So what is the one thing, since last year, since I've been asking them, what is the one thing they are all avoiding? And they avoid it like the plague. Height of void correction. They'll talk about dip correction because they can beg the question with dip correction. They've even been referring to metabunk and metabunk's refracted dips, right? Angles, as if, right, like this complete nonsense from metabunk. But they're literally comparing the dip corrections in the nautical almanacs with metabunk, blah, blah, blah. But it's all begging the question. The point I'm making is they can't do that with height of void correction. So that's why not one of them has yet to mention the word height of void correction. They won't mention it because they can't beg the question with it.
Again, I will not allow this on my watch. It's one and the same thing. It is one and the same thing, and I can prove it left, right, and center. So let them go. Hang on. Let them do it. Who cares? When it's like someone's been proven of a crime, guilty, everything, evidence. It's been videotaped, and we're still listening to his excuses how it wasn't him. These are the anti-flat earthers. Okay, so here's what it is: dip correction. It's the same as the height of eye, and here's the citations, the references coming from their books, everything. These are anti-flat earthers. When they go and try to separate the two, it makes it even more fun for me because it's the one and the same thing.
Yeah, but you're missing the point. You're missing the point here. I know that you know what you're talking about, but they only need to pull up the David Sextant manual to show that the dip correction is different from the height of void correction, and then ignore the height of void correction and go back to begging the question. Whereas I can put up the David Sextant manual and show them that their dip correction that they're talking about is begging the question, not a dip correction, it's begging the question, and height of void correction destroys the whole lot. Right?
I know.
Hang on, I'm not finished. I didn't put it on you. I'm not finished.
Yeah, go on, but you
Every
did.
time I'm trying to point out something here. I'm trying to point out something.
But you keep saying, I don't get it. Please don't say that.
What I'm trying to point out something here is the use of the term dip correction allows them to beg the question and conflate matters and confuse things for people who don't know what they're talking about. So they can show them things and make shit up, basically, right, by begging the question using the term dip correction. But they can't do that with height of void correction. So I never use the term dip correction. I always, straight away, the first thing I ask is define height of void correction. And they never will define it. They avoid it. Real is the only person that tried it.
Yeah, let me try it for him, and I'll play anti-flat earther. Let's see how this goes. Height of eye correction is just to bring the tangent plane down to the surface.
Sure, yeah, you can believe that if you want. If that, yeah, like that is, there's nowhere to go after that. So you're claiming a tangent plane at the surface. That means
no, just the intersection.
I don't have to argue about that.
Just an intersection point at my feet. It's a tangent plane. It's intersecting the sphere at my feet now.
Yeah, but I don't have to argue now. You're claiming a plane, a tangent plane, at the surface underneath your boat. I don't have to argue. It's over.
No, I didn't. No,
you just did. You just said that the tangent plane is underneath your boat. That's what you said.
I claimed that the tangent plane is intersecting the sphere at my feet when I use height of eye correction.
Yeah, but you're going to be using what you're going to be using what you're believing is a tangent plane to take your initial angles and to measure the distances, and then you're going to try and somehow mathematically bring that to the center of a sphere. You're already claiming the Earth is flat.
Well, no, I won't do it mathematically. I'll just claim that all light is parallel, as it's claimed in celestial navigation.
But that won't change.
So all
parallel
angles
light waves
would
won't change.
equal,
Yeah.
all angles would be the same no matter where they're taken from.
No. Parallel light rays only works if you have a curved surface, but you're already after claiming the surface is horizontal, so parallel light rays won't work. They won't help you.
Show the tangent plane, which is redundant anyway.
Oh, that was my argument to begin with, QE. Damn it, I'm done. Go ahead and get them, QE.
I ain't gonna get them because this is all. You guys are arguing the same thing. Everyone's right. There is no argument. The only argument I see is what the ballers dream up. You're arguing. You're chasing idiot red herring fallacies all over the place. Like Tenth said, they've already been convicted of murder. Right? They're already in jail, but I guess you're visiting them in jail and trying to debunk their concurrent claims after they've already been in the
That's not what I was
And
doing.
we're trying to rehabilitate.
That's not what I was. Hold on. That's not what I was doing. I said there's no point in arguing. The argument's over.
Just rehabilitation.
Just let everyone know, I have the dumbest thing ever uttered by a human being coming up. Just to let you know. The dumbest statement ever uttered by a human being.
Was it uttered by an anti-flat earther by any chance?
It's a hell of a claim.
It was uttered by a PhD astronomer. You know, I'm feeding back through you.
On your, we'll go through it another time.
Yeah, it's not mine. I was on mute, and we'll get back to the topic. I was on mute. I was sitting here, and 10th and Brian were feeding back through you. How could that be me?
I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So back to the dumbest statement ever uttered, and then confirmed immediately by another utter fucking retard. You're not going to. Maybe you guys didn't listen to the whole thing, but yesterday I stopped and I said, okay, I listened to the whole thing, but I really didn't catch it. I laughed at it, but I didn't really, focus in on it. But it's coming. Just to let you know. I'm not going to tell you unless you can tell me if you've listened to that video.
Can you give context to what it is without telling us? What are you talking about?
Oh man, I don't.
No, I mean, I missed it. What did you hear? Who's on it? And then we'll wait.
What did I hear? Who's on it? I told you, it's the PhD astronomer. You already know where this is, where that video is, correct?
No, I was driving 17 hours yesterday, so I missed the whole.
You were driving 17 hours and you missed it. You missed
I was
what?
on this. Well, I'm driving. I can't go click things, so that's why I'm asking for kind of help here.
Oh, you have to go back to that original. Go back to that original video. If I give you a timestamp.
No, what? That's my question. What original video? I'm in the dark here.
Oh, you're totally in the dark. It's the PhD astronomer and civil engineer and Anthony in a 5-hour discussion.
Got it.
Now, that original video, do you need the original?
Well, I'll scroll back and find it if it's there.
I don't think I put it there. You guys can continue. It's okay. It's just be prepared for the dumbest statement ever. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So put it to you that way.
Like 10th give you 3 good chances to plug your show, and you didn't use any of them.
I'm not interested in that.
Why not?
Is it truly dumber than the hole in a donut is space-time?
Yes.
John, why
No
That's not the
way.
dumbest thing
Definition of
Brent
words
has
have no
ever said.
meaning.
why would QE plug your show when he does 6-hour videos that are so draining?
Yeah. I got to go get that original video. I don't think anyone posted it. I don't even think I did.
John, is it dumber than Brenda saying that an inch is scientific? Is it?
Well, you got to separate some things. You know, I already said that the one that holds the highest position with me is ink molecules are alive, but that's not really dumb. That's batshit insane, right? So you got to split. I think I have to split that out.
Did someone actually pen that?
What?
Well, you also have to take their level of education. Hold on.
No, that was a pun. Ink molecules are alive. Did someone actually pen that?
Yeah. But what I was going to say is you got to take their level of education and compare it to the level of stupidity of the statement. So if someone's just mentally retarded and makes a stupid statement, you can't really say that's the stupidest statement ever. But if they're a PhD, then you know it becomes exponentially worse.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, I
Yes.
get that.
So let me go back and get that video. Where do you want me to put it at? 10th?
Master debaters, please. Yeah. PhD, is that physically handicapped? What's that sample?
Plowed higher and deeper.
Okay.
I did hear him say a lot of really stupid stuff. I've listened to half of it, and I've heard him say some pretty stupid stuff. So it's going to be hard to pick it out. I'll be honest.
Is this a new PhD on the
There's a lot of him
scene,
there.
or is this a new guy that's on the scene?
I think he's been out here for a while, but he's kind of gone underneath the radar for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh, not anymore.
They like to keep their they like to protect their priesthood. You know, they'll dog pile over them just so that you have to fight through to get to them. You know.
If you're bored, you can go onto my channel. I think he's commenting to someone. If you guys like putting comments, I'm just saying you could go there. He's in there, not arguing with somebody. It's stupid, but you can go and expose him if you like. If you want to have a little fun.
Well, I'm after hearing him cite MC Toon. Now, MC Toon, as far as I'm aware, has no qualifications in the world of physics whatsoever that I know of, or engineering, or surveying, or whatever. Yeah. So why, like, MC Toon is somebody who would cite somebody who is a PhD, right, or something like that, within an argument. But the fact that a PhD would cite MC Toon, I'd understand it on our side because we are going against what we're told the world, what we were told the world was, and where we are, our reality. So we are bucking against that and finding out what reality really is. So I can understand someone on our side saying, well, this person here made a video. They don't have to be a PhD or anything else for that video to have validity. But on their side, for a PhD to cite someone who's not PhD, who's just a YouTube content creator, to me that was like, wow.
He's doing like Danny Faulkner.
Danny Faulkner, exactly. I pointed that out. Yeah.
I thought botanists quoted the lawnmower all the time.
That's pretty twisted.
That's dark.
Okay.
Yeah, could you imagine Brian Cox citing Fight the Flat Earth? No offense to Fight the Flat Earth, but Brian Cox is not going to cite you when it comes to heliocentrism. So why would, do you know what I mean? Brian Cox is a PhD, this man is a PhD. You might have different disciplines, but they're PhDs. Why would Brian Cox cite some random content creator on YouTube.
When they get panicked, when they get challenged and get panicked, they do stupid things. You know, I think that's
Like type in gas pressure without a container, like, and then cite the first video that pops up.
yeah, panic. You know, you get panicked, you do stupid things.
The stupidest thing is this what's on screen right now.
Hey, 10th, I put that in there. The original video. If anyone wants to go get it, it's the original of Rob Parks. I addressed it
Yeah.
to 10th. You guys can go get it.
I don't know if Ted is aware that you've actually been making, you've made a 5-hour video that has just covered the first hour and 10 minutes of this video. That you've actually, I don't know if Ted is aware that you've done a reaction video to this. One of several to come.
Oh, one
I
of
don't know if he's
several.
aware of that.
Yeah. 10th, are you aware of that?
You there, 10th?
I guess not.
He must be aware. Norm!
Norm!
So you're saying that video was only an hour and 10 minutes in? Wow.
Sorry, I had to step out.
Yeah, I put that in Master Debaters, or Mass Debaters, whatever the fuck
Yes,
that.
thank you. Okay.
Yeah. Ted, are you aware that QE's video is a reaction video to this video? And it's only the first of several to come. So this
And let me
main
tell-
video, sorry?
No, let me tell you, I had that one drive where I listened to QE, Witsit, and then the second one, Jaron. It was a 15, 16-hour drive. I barely survived. My dog went into a coma listening to all that. I have boycotted QE ever since then.
Oh my God.
That was never do that again. Never listen to QE take apart Witsit and Jaron all in one day while you're driving and your dog's looking at you like, get me out of here.
I do that to my workers.
So, but that's it. You got a 5. Okay, this is the total of 5 hours with Anthony, right? However, I just made a 5-hour presentation on the first hour and a half of the 5-hour presentation.
Oh my gosh. Okay, my next long drive is the year 2027 of the year of our Lord.
Now, the dumbest thing ever uttered by a human being is in there with conviction and support from some other human being.
And I bet he has no clue.
Who restates it and confirms and they're both convicted to it. And they repeat it over and over again.
If you want support, buy a pair of long johns.
Is it the dumbest statement ever because it's a PhD saying it, as opposed to if I said it or some other person who's not a PhD, would it still be the dumbest statement ever if, let's say, I said it? Or is it the dumbest statement ever?
It doesn't matter that he's a PhD. I mean, it adds a little bit to it, but if some random person, besides somebody that's severely mentally retarded, like was already brought up, just an NPC, if they said it, it would be the dumbest thing ever stated.
Would it make the Hindenburg blush?
And Mae West.
Does it have to
Is
do
it
with the
a-
model?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Is it based around radio signal bouncing?
I'm not fucking saying it. No, but that's it. That's all I'm saying is no for that one. No.
Brian, are you saying we have to tune in now?
Well, yeah.
Good one.
The next presentation is not going to be 5 hours. I've already, made the decision that is a bit too long. I was just on a roll and I felt it, right? I was in the zone. The next one's not going to be that long.
So what you're saying is we got more to look forward to. Good.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
I was
And
going
I
to
tell you
say,
what-
John, The setup of where you do like this guerrilla treatment episodes, that might actually be good for your channel because it'll keep you like it'll make people keep tuning into your channel to see if a new one's coming on yet, you know.
Well, what really
Kiwi shows is a lot like a really good dinner. 2 days later, your mom says, "Hey, here's some more." Mom, I'm still chewing on that dinner from 2 nights ago. I'm not done yet.
No. QE does not serve leftovers.
No, he
Well-
puts out, if he did a 5-hour already and he's doing another one, and you haven't gone through the first 5 hours because
okay.
of the length, you say, hold on, I'm backlogged here.
Keep coming out with good stuff, man. I appreciate it.
I ain't
Well,
coming
what
up with
really-
anything. I'm just reporting.
Very well at that, I may say.
Well, thank you. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. I just let them speak.
They always condemn themselves, correct? Is that what it is? Just let them speak and they hang themselves.
Yeah.
It's part and parcel of their position. If you have a illegitimate position, an impossibility to prove, then just let them talk because they're going to hang themselves.
Is Nathan, you still recording?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of ways of solving echo issues.
Oh.
You ruined Nathan's day. It was already bad when you came in and told him that. And
Well, somebody has to tell him the truth.
You gotta get out of your mother's basement. Come on, echoes will go away.
Especially when he dogged me out yesterday and then left. He blamed me and then left.
Hey, I like the way you're warning the audience not to be timing you on your 2-minute breaks that turn into 7-minute breaks.
I thought of that when I thought of it. I said, you know, these, because I'm going to get a smart ass out there and it has a timer. So I'm a contingency guy. So I immediately thought of that when I said 2 minutes. So I said that none of you wisecrackers out there, it's in the vicinity of 2 minutes.
Well, forget timers. Just watch what you're doing.
Yeah, nice.
Hey, guys, you want to see something cool? You see this here? This is a block of salt from the ocean brought in here for whatever the hell these people are filming in this studio. But this is a real block of salt from the ocean.
Yeah, natural occurring blocks of salts in the ocean. I ran into one body surfing.
That's what they told me. But everything here they're making, it's like a studio, and they make all the props for whatever they're filming. So everything's make believe, sort of like the globe. All make believe.
Hey, maybe what we're told is an ice wall is actually not. Maybe it's a salt wall.
You guys see that?
Cold. It's cold to the touch.
You guys see that comment from not a comment, but he posted a newspaper article. Did you guys see that? I think it was was it?
Yeah, I saw it, and I've already done my research to find the original because that's what you posted, right?
Right,
And
Michael Cohn. Did you find it?
I found a snippet view of it, but trying to find the actual page where you read the whole thing is hard to find. But the snippet view verifies what he said. Let me post it. Let me come right back.
All right.
Well, it makes sense because if they were going to build the Suez Canal and they had to take out curvature of a globe, the out curvature of a globe into account, it would have made it impossible to make.
Well, I like the article. I was going to say, oh, this is people slamming flat earthers again, right? From back in the day. But I was surprised. Not surprised because I know the earth's flat, but this is pretty damning. If we could get, you know, some pedigree information, instead of just a little shot right there. Obviously, this is a newspaper article, right? But is this from the equivalent of the National Enquirer, or
No,
is this an
no,
actual newspaper?
No, it's actually here. Let me post it, then we could have a discussion on it. Just give me a minute. Not even a minute. Just wait a few seconds.
You want to have does somebody want to read this?
Just one
first?
second. Just one sec.
Or it might be one
Just
of your
sec.
7 minutes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Guys in Gilded, can I just have a quick chat with you? Somebody there that can chat to me?
You want? Hey, Nathan, you want me to jump in there?
Yes, please.
Hold on.
Hey, I'm heading out. I'll see y'all later.
Thank you, John. Good show today. Good discussion.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, Paul.
Oh, you got somebody, Nathan.
Yeah, it's still crackling. I tried every browser I could on my PC and on my tablet, and it's definitely some sort of Gilded update. I don't think you'll be able to fix it.
Okay. But there should be less feedback now. So what I've done is I've specifically routed the sound from Gilded out to the stream only, and then G Plus gets stream audio, if you know what I mean, the output end audio.
Yeah,
but Gilded,
unfortunately, you're clipping in Gilded. I can only hear everything you're saying because I've got G Plus on my tablet.
Hey, can you turn me down? No offense, I don't care how it sounds to you so much as long as you can hear me. But if you can turn me down and that stops me clipping, yeah, presumably you're just affirming that you're getting the same issue I'm getting from you,
It's just
right?
not picking up everything you're saying. It's missing quite a lot.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, thank you. I don't want to dwell on this anymore.
I don't think it's something you can fix, Nathan. Sorry.
It sounds like you're very sad over this, Nathan.
Very.
Huey, I put in Master Debaters, the original one that Michael Kahn put, and then the two I found to support it.
All right, 1 second. I wanted to read it out loud because if Nathan's still recording, the audience is.
You know what's funny is I heard this early in Flat Earth. When I got it, I heard of this before, so it's not something new. But I'm glad we found it.
All right, you want me to read it?
Sure.
I'm just going to read the original one that Michael Kahn posted. So it's a newspaper clip without all the pedigree information, but you can tell it's definitely from a newspaper. It's got other stories beside it that you really can't see a whole bunch of it. But this is what it says. The title, Flat Earth. There are countless people who sincerely believe that the Earth is flat. They are most numerous and vocal in America. In England, there are fewer who declare their belief, although there is an act of parliament that backs up the Flat Earth Brethren. Some of the English engineering firms who were invited to tender for the construction of the Suez Canal declined because they thought it would be impossible to hold up huge sandbanks on the Earth's curved surface. De Lesseps, a French engineer who finally did the job, assumed that the Earth was flat and conducted the canal accordingly. I think he wanted to say constructed. In consequence of this, an act of parliament was passed. It's called the Railways, Powers, and Construction Amendment Act of 1870 and has not since been repealed, forbidding any engineer invited to tender for the construction of railways and canals to make any allowance for the curvature of the Earth's surface. End of citation.
Just read the last sentence one more time, please.
Yeah, I was kind of had a problem with that. So here we go. Last sentence. In consequence of this, an act of parliament was passed. The Railways, Powers, and Construction Amendment Act of 1870, and has not since been repealed, forbidding any engineer invited to tender for the construction of railways and canals to make any allowance for the curvature of the Earth's surface. End of statement.
Wow. I covered this ages ago, actually, and back in 2015, I did a whole little stint about the level nature of the railways in England. Dubai then did one a week later and got about bazillion views for doing the same thing. But there we go.
I think
So
Brian.
geometric
I think
consideration.
Brian did it right
I
before
was
you.
about to say, I do
need to
remember
get-
Brian doing it previously.
Yes. We need to get somebody to get their hands on the Railways, Powers, and Construction Amendment Act of 1870.
I would say Ben to boot conspiracy already has it, because that was all he was always very good at. But Ben, or maybe Mark Sargent, already has that, because I remember this being brought up years ago, and it wasn't overshadowed. But what came after it was the NASA and aerospace documents talking about flying over a stationary and level plane. So I remember this from a long time back. I remember this being talked about.
Okay, did they specifically cite the Railways, Powers, and Construction Amendment Act of 1870?
I don't know about that, but it's very likely that they did get them documents or proof of them.
That's you're just poking. No, I never heard that. Not that it didn't happen, but I never heard that. So we need, again, somebody to get their hands on the Railways, Powers, and Construction Amendment Act of 1870.
Anthony would be our man, considering he knows how to go about it legally.
To reiterate what I just heard, did you basically just say that not only are they not making any allowances for curvature, allowed to do that?
Correct. They're forbidden.
Copy that. Yeah, we need to
No
get that.
geometric considerations for engineers. Not allowed.
Read the next two, Q.
Nope, that goes in the bank.
All right, hold on a second, 10th. They're kind of small. They're really small.
I got something else I'll post after you read the.
I can't, it's too small.
Okay, I'll read it. The second one says, it's a snippet view, page 14, from Life and Letters and the London Mercury. And it's about the French guy with the Suez Canal. Ground, period. We should recall the English engineers had refused to construct the Suez Canal, thinking it impossible to hold up huge sandbanks because of the curvature of the earth. End quote. M. de Lesseps, who finally accepted responsibility for cutting the canal, ignored the ball theory and successfully completed and then it ends. You go to the third post, 1949, Life and Letters and the London Mercury, volume 6263, page 14, snippet view. We should recall that English engineers had refused to construct the Suez Canal, thinking it impossible to hold up huge sandbanks because of the curvature of the earth. Mr. M. de Lesseps, who finally accepted responsibility for cutting, and it ends.
So I need two things out there. I need the pedigree information for this newspaper. And number two, we need to see the act. And that is the Railways, Powers, and Construction Amendment Act of 1870. That's two things I need. Thanks.
Charles K. Johnson, who was basically us back in the 70s and right through to the late 90s. This was one of the things I remember reading an interview, or seeing something about an interview from him, where he mentions this specifically concerning the Suez Canal. So just said I'd throw that out there. Not that it helps that, but.
The other thing I found from the research yesterday. Take a look at that.
Shout out to the people in the members chat. Got Arwin, who's on the panel. Hills G, into the break. Stopping traffic in my Rasta hat. So, hello to you all.
Michael Kahn just posted what he thinks it might be the one QE. Go take a look at it. It has the title for it.
This looks like it's the one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm scanning through it right now.
Did I lose connection? Hello?
No, we're all reading the act.
We're all reading.
Oh. How can you read without the R?
We're eating.
That was a genius super chat. Will Gilded resolve itself? Will it just be better tomorrow?
If they fix it in time.
Fix what?
It
Makes
does,
you
it
think they
does
know
seem
there's
like
got
an
a problem.
update error, so.
Say fix it like, oh, there's some engineer somewhere that knows because he was watching today's show. What are you talking about? If they fix it, we'll just hope that they'll fix a problem they know about.
Well, they might not be as experienced with that whole situation, right? I mean, updating can get pretty complicated. They might not have been able to foresee that this would happen, and they don't know what to do about it. I don't know.
Well,
we'll see.
I know. Once you're gilded, you can't go back.
So I was going to say, the name itself is terrible.
All right. This is there's nothing in here, and this is not the amendment. Did that article say it was an amendment? 1 second.
It did.
In consequence of this, an act of parliament was passed. The Railways Powers and Construction Amendment Act has not since been repealed. That didn't say that it was an amendment. I'm not seeing it in here.
Yeah, this might be the original, not the amendment.
Any chance you can post it in my live stream, Arwin? If you've got a link to it.
I can present it.
That'll do. Perfect.
It's a little bit of quiet, right? So we're on the topic of railways and canals and no allowance for curvature. You guys remember that article with the engineer who spoke about how there would be no allowance of curvature? You want me to read it out? It's pretty old, but I could just read it out while everybody
Why
finds
not?
whatever they're looking
Yeah,
for.
absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, engineer W. Winkler was published in the Earth Review regarding the Earth's supposed curvature, stating, quote, "As an engineer of many years standing, I saw that this absurd allowance is only permitted in school books. No engineer would dream of allowing any kind of the thing. I have projected many miles of railways and have many more of canals, and the allowance has not even been thought of, much less allowed for. This allowance for curvature means this, that it is 8 inches for the first mile of a canal, and increasing at the ratio by the square of the distance in miles. Thus, a small navigatable canal for boats, say 30 miles long, will have, by the above rule, an allowance for curvature of 600 feet. Think of that, and then please credit engineers as not being quite such fools. Nothing of the sort is allowed. We no more think of allowing 600 feet for a line of 30 miles of railway or canal than of wasting our time trying to square the
The
circle."
circle. I remember that.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, I saved that one. That was a good one.
As soon as you started reading, I started thinking squaring the circle.
Yep.
Did you post that, Chocolate? Because I've
I
heard
did.
that.
I could post it. Yeah. Give me a
That's
second.
incriminating.
Well, isn't squaring the circle like a Freemasonic term? I know they use the square and compass, but isn't that one of their terminologies that they use? I'm sure it is.
Squaring the
Squaring the
circle.
circle?
No, that's it's called a contradiction in terms.
You
Yeah.
can't square the circle.
No.
I figured I'd add my little piece in there.
So squaring the circle is about on the level. I think the one that I have on the next show is dumber than that. How about that?
Kiwi, go look at my last post just before Chocolate's post of that article. Look at that cover of that middle book.
The Life and Letters. Flat Earth Correspondence. Is that it?
Yeah, now think about this. And so I'm searching for that citation or that newspaper thing, and it came from Life and Letters, and it was 1949, volume 62, and all I found was that snippet view. But then I
Right.
kept searching for more editions, and this popped up, Life and Letters and the London Mercury. So the same thing, but this is the cover, and it's the same guy, edited by Robert Herring. And the cover says Flat Earth Correspondence in 1949. I mean, it's like, what?
Yeah. However, this act right here is incomplete. It
Post
looks
that.
like- we
post
need
that also.
Anthony. Somebody go snatch up Anthony.
Someone over there.
Nathan, call him right now.
Someone
Right
over
What do
there
you mean?
has.
What do you mean call
Someone
him?
in.
You know he's got a job and stuff. He'd be here
He's
if he
been
could
to
be.
your house. Call him, man.
Someone in England needs to go to the records department.
Aren't you on
Yeah.
Skype?
You heard. Call him
hold on.
now.
Can someone not email Skype? Because Anthony does have like access to the internal law database. He would be your man to get this, but just send him a message on Skype.
Go ahead, somebody do that real quick. I'm gonna go get some grub.
Ted, can you drop what you just talked about in there as well?
I did. I put everything there. And I'll go ahead and contact Anthony right now.
It's just crazy that I mean, they always. I thought flat Earth didn't exist, and it was an archaic view, and we've had like the age of information and all of this
Thousands of
happen.
years, bro.
And now listen to this stuff we're getting. Come on.
The age of science and new knowledge from the 1800s. And it's like people still thought it was flat after all of this. Yeah, y'all haven't sold y'all globe that well, apparently.
Nope.
I think it's outright criminal.
So that's why they had to do the stupid moon missions crap to solidify it in people's heads.
That's right. You're right.
That's why. Because other than that, they first, I mean, obviously they needed the excuse to get further away, or the furthest they could away from it, just to get the picture of the whole thing. But then just to go and have people on the moon and all that, yeah, that was all freaking smoke and mirrors, baby. Just to get people to believe that. Because I agree with Eli. Y'all didn't sell this very well. Not at all. But put something on the magic tube, and there you go.
Mic check.
Yeah.
Yo.
We gotta okay, maybe not we. I wish as a fan, like I was a FED fan, and a fan of all of the flat earthers that came out before me, found out before me, and have paved the way. Mistakes and all. You're all good. Um it's like now I'm still that person that is thirsting for new interactions with people we haven't spoken to. Like where they at, man? Where are they? Like they like I like what Flat Earth Banjo's doing, but I mean not but it's just not what I'm looking for. But I like what he's doing. You know, all the people on showing all the people on TikTok, you know, asking the question or stating that they don't believe that it's a globe anymore. All of that. But I want to hear the conversations of people who've never heard the conversation before. I just had 3 of them. Now, when I say never heard it before, like after 2016, you might have Googled it and then come across Simon Dan or any one of these guys and said, oh, that's what it is, and just went on about your day. They always come into the 24/7 Discord and they say, wow, you know, I've been looking into this for a long time, but you seem like the most versed person in the conversation. Like this is the most informative conversation I've had about the subject. And honestly, now I have questions that I don't know the answers to. Like where I want more of those interactions to be public.
What are you saying? I should use the Flat Earth Science versus Pseudoscience Discord server? No, Flat Earth 24/7 Discord server.
No. Well, I hadn't thought of that, but no, I'm just in general to anyone who's speaking. Like, I've had a few ideas. I guess Nathan, that would be one. Some sort of collaboration once a week to do something different, special for your members. I've said to QE, yo, it'd be crazy if you know you could literally make a business out of. I'll pay you $20 to talk to my aunt. Like that's as gimmicky as Steven Crowder's Change My Mind thing. It's like, oh, give me $20, I'll talk to your grandma. Give me $20, I'll talk to your engineered uncle or whoever it is, you know?
Better than what I
People
say.
love phone calls.
You're talking like man on the street interviews with new people to hear people's responses. That's basically what you're talking about, right?
Maybe that, yeah, but in a sense, this would be more like with the phone call thing would be more of like a flat earther effort, so that like people don't get bombarded or feel what's the word what's
Not on the
the word
spot.
yeah, okay,
On the
that's
spot.
fine. On the spot. It's like, obviously my sister, my mom, they all know that I talk about this. So it's like I wouldn't mind paying to see a show where I have a family member call up and talk about this.
I think that you can get the same thing. I did that on my channel where I interviewed those workers on my property. I've done this several times. I just haven't posted it. I have several recordings of people willing to talk to me. And I say, hey, can I record this? I might put it on YouTube, but I won't show your face, mention your name or anything, or and they go, hey, you can mention my name, just don't put my face. All right, first name only. And then I just record it, and they're all the same. I mean, it's just like that one I did post. So that's something that I would like to do in the future with my channel when I get settled, is to do more of those. And then when I have enough, start posting them, because that's real life talking with someone about it. And then they bring up you, Eli, someone in their life that's just like me. They tell me about you because they have an Eli in their life.
Figured out what the sound problem was.
Oh, shit.
I can't change it while I'm recording now. But
what was it?
The output line set to the digital master output line rather than voice meter. That's it.
Coincidentally,
All right, well, there's a new
that's
problem
what's
now.
up. But yeah, fine. Go ahead.
I think you've shut, like, I can't hear anything on Gilded. I don't know if I'm the only one.
Oh, problem
I can he-
solved. Cut
I can-
Gilded loose.
What? Sorry, you can't hear
I
anything.
can hear myself.
You can't hear anything in Gilded.
I can hear myself on Gilded, but I can't hear you guys in Gilded.
You're
Oh,
not even
really?
clipping right now. So
You can hear yourself
'Cause I'm
talking
on
in
mute.
Gilded, but they can't hear us. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I'll leave that with me. That was something I changed thinking I'd solved the problem, but it wasn't that, so I'll have to change that back.
Okay.
yeah, coincidentally, like the more new people like we get in front of, the more anti-flat earthers will come. Why? Because that's what happens every time. That's what they did on the internet. You got these flat earthers asking questions, and then the anti-flat earthers came out. Oh no, you can't think of it like this. Don't look at the globe. Don't the earth is that they just do anything to distract you from critiquing the globe, to ask you how things work on a flat earth, or this or that and the third. And like I know that one of the ways to piss them off the most is to just speak candidly to a regular person who hasn't been in the conversation about it, and to say that there's no evidence for the globe. And then sure as Dookie, here they come. Oh, no evidence. Yeah, sure. What's your evidence? Oh well, I've already given it to you, but you won't accept it, so I'm not going to play that game. Okay.
Has that solved the problem in... I can actually see to see if I'm flashing. No, I'm not. Okay, that hasn't solved the problem for Gilded. Maybe I need to refresh it.
Right, and if you want, like, after the show or anytime during, like, your time, maybe you can just pop into Gilded and we can troubleshoot things off the air.
Yeah, that's the pre-show. That's what the pre-show
All right, all
is.
right. All right, fine.
My button works to get me back in. Check, check. Check, 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 check. Oh no, it's not giving any sound. Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. Check, check, check. Oh no, it's still not getting any sound. Well, check, check, check. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Gilded today. It's been an absolute nightmare.
Make sure your input didn't change in Gilded app.
I just changed it back because I did change it, but maybe that's caused a problem. I'll have another look. Hopefully you'll all talk amongst yourselves.
Right, I was trying to think of something.
I'm still looking for the article that Kiwi's asking for. So reading through another one, but it's more pages.
More eating?
That comment about the legislation does not sound right to me. They don't write things like that.
What was that, Paul?
So you're saying it's a bunch of
too
shit?
specific. They wouldn't say don't take curvature into account into a public act of Parliament. I mean, anyone can request from Hansard, and you can even get the transcript of the debate before the vote on the bill. So we can find out if it's true or not. It just doesn't sound correct to me.
I don't know if you got the case where people were being thrown in jail for teaching that people were living on a globe. I don't see it as that far-fetched.
Wait, well, do we have that?
Do we have what?
An actual docket number for a case like that?
I don't know if I got docket number, but give me a second.
I know you don't, man. I've heard and followed that too. Like there's an article. It's one of these. Like the older, like the further back you go, the weirder shit gets. You know.
With that, I'm going to say I need to restart this computer to get some of these audio settings to actually take hold. So I will resume this live stream for the members that are watching currently. So thank you very much for tuning into this live stream. I will start another one momentarily once I've restarted the PC and got everything up and running again. So a massive thank you to all of you liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a member after the fact and all that good stuff. And of course a massive thank you to all of you who did tune in to watch live. I've been Nathan Oakley and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!